Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
You know, I love a good list. They have their list of the 74 greatest players in NBA history, this being the 74th year.
The unofficial name of this list was 50 Lakers and 24 other guys.
The undisputed #1 sports talk radio show of all time. Tell me different.
How many people saw Oscar play with the Royals? Isaiah Thomas is one of the top 20 players of all time. Chris Paul is not a better player than Rick Barry. You see, I've seen the guys on the list. All right?
You're going to tell me that Rick Barry had any shot at doing anything with Russell Westbrook? Like, no way.
I was wondering where Zion was on the list.
I apologize not being chronologically old enough to have seen Rick Barry play. Like, my bad.
You know what? Why don't you be older, Chris?
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave.
I want you to get on my lawn. Get on my lawn.
This is Dan Patrick.
Welcome to the program. It's hour one on this Thursday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. We'll check in with Nick Nurse of my Toronto Raptors a little bit later on in the program. Some states opening up for sports leagues. Networks may pump in artificial noise for the games. We'll talk about that. NCAA loosening up rules on underclassmen going into the NBA draft. A lot of headlines here. I don't know if there's a main headline here, but we'll attempt to create one or two. You can get in touch with the program, 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address, dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP-SHOW. McLovin will have a poll question. We got a couple of I got an unbelievable stat of the day for Nick Nurse. Unbelievable stat of the day. Did not know this. The guys from Stats Inc. came up with this really an amazing stat of the day. Have that for you coming up. Play of the day also had that for you as well. Throughout the coronavirus pandemic, we've been aware of the possibility teams would leave their hometowns to play elsewhere. Now you have some states are opening up and saying they would welcome in pro sports. It's coming closer to a reality. Put aside the serious medical, financial, political issues that this is going to raise. It's a radical move from a sports standpoint. Teams and civic pride are incredibly intertwined. And if you want an illustration of that, watch the Netflix series Sunderland Till I Die. It's about an English soccer club that means everything to its fans, life and death. I'm not sure professional North American teams evoke the same love. College football might. Pro sports, that's a step down. For example, Rams and Chargers temporarily moving out of L.A., it wouldn't be the same as the Packers leaving Lambeau. For some teams, losing home games would be a huge competitive disadvantage. For others, not as much. But these are extraordinary times, and everything is on the table. Leagues may have to make decisions that would have been considered unthinkable just a couple of months ago. Prior to the release of the NFL schedule, I was told, keep an eye on these teams in California and where they could relocate temporarily to play games maybe for the first month of the season. And I was told San Francisco, the 49ers could maybe go to Denver. Then maybe you could have the Rams or Chargers go to Arizona. And if one team goes to Arizona, the other one goes to Las Vegas. These were things that were told to me just to keep an eye on it. And once again, contingency plans. Everything's a contingency plan. NBA's dealing with a contingency plan. Baseball is right now. Football is going to in the fall. Here is the Florida governor. His name is Ron DeSantis, and Ron DeSantis is talking about Florida welcoming pro sports.
All these professional sports are going to be welcome in Florida. That may not be the case in every other state in this country, as we've seen. And so what I would tell commissioners of leagues is if you have a team in an area where they just won't let them operate, we'll find a place for you here in the state of Florida because we think it's important and we know that it can be done safely.
We don't know it can be done safely, but if it can be done safely, I'm all for it. So that's Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor. They had already explored this at Disney World, maybe bringing all the NBA teams down there, and you sort of have a quarantined end of the regular season and the postseason there on the Disney campus because you have restaurants there. I mean, everything is there. You have your own little world. And it's almost like the Truman Show, if you saw that movie with Jim Carrey, where everybody is there and you have your neighborhood, your community, and maybe you could have this season salvaged here with the NBA. Everything's on the table. It should be. I get it. Now we have some, and it's not political agendas. It's just, politics enters in where you have the stay-at-home policy in California, and now you're going to extend it for 3 months, and then the next day you start to walk that back. That's the danger of all of this. This has to be a team. It's got to be teamwork to have everybody saying the right thing so we don't get confused with it. Like, that's safe, but that's not safe. They can play, but we can't play. That league, that conference, that's where I get nervous about this. Making sure that we have a unified voice, that we know this is what it's going to take. And I'm not complaining about anything. Even when they said, hey, what do you think about pumping in crowd noise? If you said I can have football right now and they pump in crowd noise, I'm fine with that. I don't want it. I'd rather not have it. I'd rather have no crowd noise. But if you said, hey, you got football coming back and they're going to have some fake noise, I will get over it. I promise I'll get over it. Hey, baseball is coming back and they might have the DH on both leagues. I'm okay with that. I'm really lenient right now. You want to have basketball in Florida? Let's have basketball in Florida. Yes, Eaton.
I'm okay with fake crowd noise only if you also put in fake animated fans in the stands. Like, there has to be an actually animated fake crowd making that fake noise, because if it's just empty seats and crowd noise, I'm out.
Well, I think they're going to do that with CGI. They're going to have animated fans. Well, fake animated fans. Yeah, Paul.
Dan, as a journalist, I'm very, very much against fake crowd noise, fake fans. Let's embrace what this is. This isn't going to be forever, I hope, and let's see what it sounds like. I would rather, instead of having crowd noise where it blocks out what the quarterbacks are saying in the huddle, I want to actually hear what the quarterbacks are saying in the huddle.
No, the worst case scenario is fake noise. I'm okay.
No fake noise.
Okay, then no football.
You don't have to have that.
No, you get one or the other. That's what I'm saying. I'm so lenient.
No football. I want complete silence.
Okay, you are a journalist.
I got PlayStation.
You are a journalist. I understand that we're going to put these things out there and it won't be normal, what we've come to expect, what we've come to listen to and watch. I'm okay with all of that. Yes, McLovin.
All right. Fake noise is bad. I'm against it. The CGI crowd is insane. It's totally nuts.
It is.
It's like out of a sci-fi movie.
How about we just have cardboard cutouts then?
Like South Korea? Okay, that's better than the
McLovin,
CGI crowd.
we have a fake first down line there.
Are you going to have like the fake
we got
fat
the
guy
red
with
zone
the shirt off in the cold weather?
We got the red zone there. I mean, yeah, Paul.
We're about 2 years away from digital players anyway, so let's just start going down that path. Cut all these guys. No work. You're not going to have digital concussion lawsuits. Just get them in there.
Yes, Seton.
I think what you're actually seeing here is just yet another way in which the AUAA has changed the sports landscape by, we were the first to pump in fake crowd noise into a live sporting event. So
because we couldn't get crowds. And even if we had crowds, we'd still have to have fake crowd noise there. Yes,
nonetheless.
Yes, McLovin.
Yeah, so those people booing Mario for that last second shot, that was fake. I just wanted to bring that up.
No, that was real.
That was real.
Yeah, that day we had a crowd in here just to boo Mario.
It was great because with no crowd, no people making noise in the crowd, no CGI, you could actually hear Seton go, "What the?"
Yeah, I know.
As he let the ball go.
Yeah, I'm all for having it natural sound. I know it'll be awkward, but I think it'll be a different type of entertainment there where you're going to hear everything. And I'm excited about that. If that's where we get to, that's the worst case scenario is we have football, but we don't have fans. And we've had teams who pump in noise before. Watching the Masters, weren't they accused of pumping in bird noises there?
Never confirmed.
Yes, McLovin.
New Jersey Nets got busted for it. A lot of teams have gotten busted for it.
Yeah.
Are we going to move the AUAA to Florida? Is that in the talks? Is that a possibility?
They said that they wanted major sports. They already said no to us. Because I said, look,
quarantine down in Orlando.
Yeah. I said,
Take over a resort.
I'd like to bring down my basketball league. And they said, no, we're sorry. The governor said, no, we can't have you down there. This program brought to you by the great folks at Traeger. Join the Traeger Hood wood-fired grills. They make it easy to create incredible flavor, whether you're barbecuing brisket, baking bread. Join the community today by contacting your local dealer, heading to TraegerGrills.com/DP Show. Phone calls are welcome. McLovin, you got a poll question for me. Thank you.
Yeah, we have
you.
to put up the fake noise poll. We have to find out where the audience is. Are you in favor of pumping in? Let's just start with fake noise into broadcast.
Okay, but I want to be on the record as saying I don't want this, but if that's the worst case scenario that comes out of this, I will accept it. I want to hear the quarterback. I want to hear the hits. I want to hear defensive signals. I want to hear all of the ambiance. You know, the ambient sound is what makes football so great. The fans, you know, in a pro game aren't anywhere near what they are in a college game. College football atmosphere, there's nothing like that. Pro football, it's a little more sterile environment, but with college, then I'm going to miss that crowd. I'm going to miss the big house. I'm going to miss, you know, go down the list of all the great places where you can watch a football game. I'm going to miss that. With the NFL, not quite as much. Let me see. 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle @DP Show. We are narrowing down our search for Chat Rose T-shirt, and you can vote today. Started at 9 o'clock with a new wave of T-shirts there. As we're narrowing those T-shirts down, we will come up with the Chat Row T-shirt tomorrow on the program. McLovin, you got a poll question? You can watch this program on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. Doesn't cost you anything. Stay as long as you want. Check out whenever you want. Yes, McLovin.
So we're going to start with the fan noise question. I also have a question. I've seen some players come out and say that they really don't want to play with no fans. Even in the last couple of days, some NFL players. If you were a player, would you care about not having fans? Would it affect your? I mean, I know it's obviously dire circumstances, but would that bother you as a fan, or would you?
I would not be saying that. If I'm a professional athlete, I would just say, look, we're trying to come back and play. Now, everybody wants fans, but I don't think you go. You know, LeBron said this right out of the gate, and then he walked it back. Hey, I'm not playing if there's no fans. Now, granted, he wants fans to be able to show up. Well, if they can't, we still want you to play. And I think it's dangerous when players start to say, you want to get paid, and you want to play, and maybe in that order, then show up. You know, as long as you're safe, show up, play. We're fine with that. We all want to come back. We want fans there. We want the ambiance there. Who doesn't want that? It's if you can't have it, then we adapt. We can't go and you can't have fans. You can still play and we can still watch. Let's do that. That would be, my thought with that. I want to have that ambiance there. But, we're not going to have it. Yeah, McLovin.
What about like cursing and like being heard? Sam Darnold talked about being embarrassed by how loud his cadence is. Like, would that be a concern? You know how NBA players are. You've been around them, and football players. Are they going to have to censor themselves?
I don't know if you have a 7-second delay. I mean, you could always do that with a game, but I've never heard somebody say, "Well, that Sam Darnold's got an embarrassingly loud cadence." Like, if I was Sam Darnold, I'd be worried more about the embarrassingly bad New York Jets, not my cadence there. Because if you play well, nobody cares how loud your cadence is. Yeah, Paul.
In all seriousness, you saw what ESPN did with The Last Dance. They put a disclaimer that there's going to be language in this because it served its purposes. If you're Fox or ESPN or one of the NBC, before the game, you put up a disclaimer. We can't hit the dump button on every time you hear a swear word with no fans in the stands. So you may hear things that you don't expect, and put it up there and just let it play out, and you'll hear everything, every bit of it, and there'll be F words and all stuff.
Well, the danger of that is you have 1 o'clock games, 4 o'clock games, whereas The Last Dance is on at 9 o'clock at night, and that's a little bit different as far as who's watching this, and they do give you the alternative to watch a clean version of The Last Dance. If these are the things that we have to worry about with sports coming back, I'm okay with that. Now, if we're looking for, hey, you got to watch the curse words, okay, we'll figure that out. The bigger picture is, can we get everybody back, and when can we get everybody back? Aaron in Tennessee. Hey, Aaron, what do you have for me today?
Hey, Dan, 6'1" and a Husky 250. So, we had my nephew works at the racetrack, and they had the UT Virginia Tech game a couple of years ago, the football game there. And that place was absolutely packed. And because it holds like 160-some thousand people, they could have a football game there, an NFL game, maybe once a week. Maybe the Monday night game is there or something. And it allows for not full capacity, but you could still have, maybe 40,000 fans and allow for social distancing. Plus, as big as the track is, even the concession stands would be spread out enough that you could say, hey, your section has to go to this area and your section goes to this area. And it would allow for some fans to be at least at one game a week, maybe.
I'm open for all of this, Aaron. Thank you. All of it. I did talk to somebody yesterday who deals with the NFL, and I said, when you get these players back, what would it take to get them back to be able to go to camp and get ready? And I was told the NFL would need 60,000 tests a week to get the teams ready. Now, this is all of the personnel. This is all the staff, all of the players. I was told 60,000 tests for them to be able to come back and play. And, the response I got when I said, that seems like a lot. And my source said, well, how would you feel if you knew the NFL was getting these tests, but people who need the test aren't getting these tests? It puts the NFL in a bad situation there. But according to the medical staff with the NFL and the NFL Players Association, it might be 60,000 tests per week. I want to look through all of this. I want to part the seas and say, let's play football. Let's play basketball, baseball. There's still these hurdles. Certain states are allowing, certain states are not. I think the Pac-12 is in trouble, as I've said before. I just don't know with Governor Newsom, with what he's doing in California, these teams, will they be able to play? What are the NFL teams? Are they able to play? Do they go to another state to play? We don't know. But as far as getting people back on a court, on the field, playing, all for it. However we do it, as long as we're ensuring safety. And I do think that we can have social distancing at a sporting event. And I do think that you're going to treat it like you do when you go to the supermarket, where there's arrows that tell you which way to go. You got to stop here when you're getting ready to check out. Maybe that's what happens when you go up to the concession stand, when you go to the bathroom. These are things that are all on the table and should be. Maybe we don't get to this. I would love for it to be, we take 5 steps back and go, hey, we're okay here. But until then, this is why leagues, this is why conferences, this is why sports are exploring everything. Because they have to. You have to say, what if? And that's what everybody is doing right now. What if that happens? Chris in Florida, then we'll take a break. Hey, Chris.
Oh, hey, Dan, 6'3", 200. Okay, so back in the 90s, when I was in college, I was a production assistant for Major League 2. It was filmed in Baltimore at Camden Yards. And to make the crowd, like the long shots, they wanted to have crowds in the stands, but they didn't want to have to pay extras every single day. So they had us put cardboard cutouts in the stands, like every other seat, and put balloons on them and, make it look like it was moving. It was pretty funny, You could always do that, and then people could pay for the seats.
Okay. Well, they did that, I think, for what's the Redford movie?
The Natural?
Yeah, The Natural. They did that where they put cardboard cutouts. I think that was filmed maybe in Buffalo. Yes, Eden.
I mean, isn't it more realistic that what the leagues are going to do when they have no crowds there is just fill the empty stands with sponsorship things to make up lost revenue? You know what I mean? Like you know how they put in digital banners all over the place where it'll say the, whatever company first down line or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just going to pepper those into the stands and cover it up with, Modell sporting goods and stuff like that.
We'll take a break here. We'll come back. More phone calls here. I'm open to all of this. Hopefully we don't need it, but I'm open to all of it. And Joe Buck said yesterday, hey, it's pretty much foregone conclusion. Fox is going to be piping in artificial noise here. I have a problem when I watch a sitcom and they have the laugh track. that always is weird.
Can you imagine, though, if they didn't?
Well, it might be better that it feels like they have to help you laugh. Like you have to understand, hey, now you laugh when you watch Two Broke Girls. And then you're going, wait, that wasn't even funny. I always thought Seton would have been a great laugh track voice. No, not like that. No, like that. But I think you laugh too well because if I said, okay, subtle fake laugh, Seton, I need a little bit more. McLovin? Yeah, see? No, play that again. Play that again. Okay, how about we laugh as a group here, all right? It's subtle fake laugh, all right? 1, 2, 3.
Should we all try to fake boo in unison?
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Boo! I was a hiss guy. I called the hiss guy.
Oh, you're the hisser.
Hiss,
I never booed before. Does anybody boo now? Don't they? I mean, maybe these players would prefer a boo, but I don't. I've never booed
like
before.
The word boo? Like you understand who yells, boo!
I've never booed before. Oh, there's Fritzy.
Can Todd hear us right now? He's looking very blankly
I
at the
can.
Zoom chat.
He's frozen.
I'm having some kind of video issue. It's breaking up and freezing.
Oh.
I reboot my being told.
Yes,
by
Paul.
The,
Todd's screen has been frozen.
But how would you know?
That's what everyone in the chat row is saying. Todd's screen's been frozen with the same look on his face for the past 9 minutes, and people in the chat row are like, "It looks the same as it does the 3 hours yesterday."
Nice.
We could just put a cardboard cutout of Todd up there, and you might not be able to tell the difference.
What kind of faces am I supposed to make if I'm staring at my laptop? I don't know. I should just try out a variety of facial expressions.
Well, you could just react to what we're saying, even if you can't.
I thought I was, but you can't see it right now. I have to fix something with the computer here.
You're not fixing it.
No, I've been told to shut down the computer and put it back on. That was the advice I got from the powers that be.
Yes.
The all unplug it and replug it.
Yes.
See what happens.
All right, we'll take a break.
Someone else has said Todd must be farting, so
Oh,
wow. They
wow.
were paying attention
Wow.
yesterday.
Wow. Let's take a break. We'll take a break. We'll come back with phone calls here. We're off to a rousing start here. Oh, this is good. 22 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. You're checking things all the time. You're checking your email. Maybe you're checking to see if your computer works or maybe your Zoom works. Todd, that was directed at you.
I know it was, but you can't see my great facial expression right now.
I love it that it's frozen, but I can hear your voice. We just need to have your lips move. That's all.
Like Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
They just cut out the little lips.
Yes. Discover's offering
took
FICO.
a shot at me.
All right, Todd. FICO credit scores. That's used by 90% of top lenders. It's for free, even if you're not a customer. Discover Credit Scorecard, free for everyone. Learn more. Discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. What was your welcome to the NBA moment? You remember?
Well, my very first game, Larry Drew picked me right mid-court. I dribbled up the court, and we were in Kansas City, and he just took it from me. And it wasn't very crowded, and some guy in the stands yelled CBA, Stockton CBA, and I went, wow, welcome to the big time.
Did anybody ever talk trash to you?
I was told they did. I didn't notice it. I mean, I've been told that I was fairly focused, and I'm sure guys did. And I also remember a guy yelling at me one game because I didn't respond to his trash talking, and he just kept yelling, "Talk to me!" And then all of a sudden, it occurred to me that he had been talking to me. So anyway, I think I missed out on a lot.
Was that Jordan who was saying, "Talk to me"?
No, actually, he didn't talk much. We had we had one exchange in our entire careers, and our careers matched up. We came in the same years, et cetera. But we only had really one exchange, a fairly heated one, but it wasn't really trash talking that I recall.
What was that about, that heated exchange?
Oh, there was a foul going on. I mean, there was. I think Randy Brown was in the game at the time, and Michael took offense to something that went in there, and he checked himself in, and then we had the very next play, and he got a foul, and he said something as he was walking back to the bench, and I said something back again. You kind of, things fade over time, so I've forgotten the actual details, but that was it.
Yeah, because Jordan, I think, is saying you play dirty to you.
No, I felt more respect for Michael than that, frankly. I mean, he played as hard as anybody and as physically as anybody, and I never sensed those types of comments from him ever.
Bird never said anything?
Well, he did, but not to me. I remember as a rookie, he came in, he walked by our bench at the Salt Palace and said, "I feel like 43 tonight." And he came out, he scored 43 in the third quarter and checked himself out with a 20-point victory, and I was fairly impressed with that one.
So he just picks a random number, I feel like 43, and he says it to the bench?
Yeah. It was fairly impressive, especially when he backed it up.
Did you ever feel like you could have one of those nights where you could get 50?
Not in the NBA. I felt Summer League. I felt it a couple times back here in Spokane. Yeah. But no, it was back to the pass first thing. It wasn't the way I was wired. Seldom do you get those many shot opportunities when you're I guess looking for passes and opportunities to get other guys involved. But no, never even considered it.
When you say let's have a catch, is that your terminology in Field of Dreams?
No, it's not mine. In fact, I had a hard time saying that. I used to say play catch.
Yeah, because I was wondering.
I have a catch as a kind of, I was told the director, the writer, who doesn't, I get so much credit with Field of Dreams, but it was really Phil Robinson. But he's not really a sports guy. And he wrote a movie that none of you sports guys could possibly write. He wrote a speech for James Earl Jones that Mickey Mantle and all the great ones, they can't articulate what it is they love about the game, not even you.
Yeah.
It took a kind of non-athlete and the Ray Kinsella character who writes this, he writes this speech that we just can't get out of our mind. Vin Scully, like a chalkboard, it's a race, and it's everything that could and could be again. And Jesus, I just lost my place. Where are we? Where were we?
Can you have a catch?
Can you have a catch? And so that didn't come out of my mouth right.
Yeah, it does sound strange, but I think it's where you grew up.
It's a New York thing.
Okay.
And for me, it's like, let's play catch. Dad, can we play catch? To have a catch. I struggled with that, believe it or not. I do 11-page monologue, and I go, I can't say this have a catch thing.
The Danettes often remind me, hey, any publicity is good publicity. And I always say, yeah, until it's negative publicity and it's about you. So I don't know if what the Rams did yesterday was their intention. They wanted to get you talking about their new uniforms, whether you were saying something nice or not. Here is the Pro Football Hall of Famer and a Rams employee, Eric Dickerson, on the Rams' new uniforms.
You know, the colors are not bad. You know, if you want to change the colors, make them a little brighter, you know, the uniform is not bad. I just don't like the stripe around the sleeve. It's not big enough. It almost looks like a lightning bolt, like the Chargers uniform. I don't like the stripe down the pants. I wish it was bigger. And the horn, man, it's horrible. I mean, it's terrible. I just feel like they really took away from the Rams uniform, and it looks like almost like a Charger logo. It looks like a banana. It looks like two bananas is what it looks like.
Ouch. That's Eric Dickerson. That was courtesy of AM 570, KLAC. These uniforms aren't for us. they're not for Eric Dickerson. Is your son or daughter going to like it? That's what you're hoping for, I guess. You already established you have, a great tradition here. That Rams uniform is beautiful. The white with the blue is beautiful. Now, you throw in a little gold there. The thing that I don't like about it is you get a little closer to the Chargers, and if you're the Rams, you're trying to separate yourself from the Chargers, even though you're going to be in the same stadium. When Paulie said, "Hey, got the new uniforms," and then we opened them up live on the show, and I went, "All right, I'm fine with it." Like at this point, there are a lot of uniforms I go, I would never wear it, but if I showed it to a 15-year-old, he might go, "Oh, it's cool. I like that." And that's what you're trying to sell to. That's your audience. That's your fan base that you want to get them to buy merchandise. If you're old school, you're going to be buying old school merchandise. That's why I want to see what the Buccaneers do with the creamsicle. Bring it back and see what this, maybe the new generation is going to go, that's either awesome or that's ugly. But I remember when that was almost the sign of ineptitude. Creamsicle. A football team wearing creamsicle? And they weren't a good team, and people didn't like that uniform. But if Tom Brady puts the creamsicle on, suddenly we're going to like creamsicle because he's going to give it some class and cachet there because, he's the GOAT. But I watched that with the Rams yesterday unfold, and you could almost predict it. And I went, counter to what I really think about it, but I just said, I'm okay with it. I'm all right. I'm fine with it, It's for younger kids. Yeah, I'm playing.
And if these teams don't try out things every once in a while, you don't stumble upon a great uniform. If you're an LA Rams fan, old school LA Rams fan, back in the 60s, their uniforms were white with blue trim and a white, big, huge horn.
I love those uniforms.
Those are cool. But then they moved into the 70s, and it was that, I don't know if you call it yellow or gold, but it was blue and yellow, like the Vince Ferragamo years. And everybody loves those. And I think a lot of people out there think that's the classic Rams uniform. Well, they had to morph into those. They didn't start day one with those. On the opposite side, the Chargers, they started with powder blue year one. I think 1960, they had powder blue and they had the lightning bolts, which the Chargers have gone back to, which is why everybody likes what the Chargers are doing.
It's one of those where you're young, everything is so much more impactful to you. And to see the Chargers in person playing the Cincinnati Bengals, and I just remember when they came out on the field, I fell in love. Like I was like a schoolboy. I just said, I fell in love right there. I love those colors of the Chargers uniforms, the lightning bolts, everything about it. They just look like the Bengals were a time warp. They were stuck in a vacuum, 1960, whereas the Chargers, that was great. That was front center stage. It was beautiful. All right, some phone calls here. We're talking about fan noise being pumped in here. Joe Buck said yesterday that Fox is going to do this with their football games. It's a foregone conclusion, I think, is what Joe said. And I'm fine with it. I don't want it. I don't need it. I'd rather hear the ambient sound, but if that's what Fox wants, great. You want to put cardboard cutouts in there? Great, go ahead. At this stage, I'll take whatever. I don't care. I'll watch the game in black and white if I have to. With those rabbit ears that you had to fix and put aluminum foil on them. Jimmy in Chicago. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, good morning, Dan. On that topic, you gotta have sound in the games for the games. You gotta. I was watching WrestleMania this year with no fans and no sound, and it was terrible. I'm all for having sound.
Okay.
I got to do it.
Okay.
And I hate to bring up the ESPN NBA list again, but I had one question. I'm a little irritated that Bird is number 7 ahead of Duncan, Kobe, and Shaq. And I respect Bird. I know all he's done, but like you said yesterday, the greatest is about the skills, and it's not about accomplishments. It's all about the player itself. So, just your opinion on Bird.
I don't know what it's based on. Thank you, Jimmy. I don't know who voted. I don't know the criteria. And that's what Paulie and I tried to find out yesterday, because you're going to vote on who you saw. And there are times when you just put in somebody because if you don't, then you're going to look stupid. Like people put in Oscar Robertson. I'm going to guess the people voting on this did not see Oscar play. Now, they know he averaged a triple-double, and he won a title when he was with Milwaukee. Okay. I mean, Oscar was one of the great players of all time. People didn't see Elgin Baylor play. If you look at Elgin Baylor's numbers as a 6'5" forward, like we think Charles Barkley was amazing, and he was. Elgin Baylor didn't win, but he was unbelievable. Nobody saw him play. I'm guessing who voted on this. Do you know his career average? Now, career average for Elgin Baylor, and I'm going to guess at best he was 6'5". He averaged 27 points, 12 rebounds. That's pretty good. Listed at 6'5". Nobody saw him play. Bill Russell, nobody saw him play, but you know what he accomplished. Very limited offensive player. Not a good shooter, but the great winner, and you put him in there. We saw Shaq and Kobe. We want Shaq and Kobe to be higher. We saw Tim Duncan. Well, Tim Duncan should be higher. Maybe you saw Larry Bird in person. Maybe you just see the highlights there. That's why it's difficult when you vote on this. But ESPN's getting what ESPN wants, and that's reaction here. And I am front and center, guilty as charged. I reacted. I brought this up to Paulie. If I said 10 or 15 years from now, which player today, aside from LeBron, is in the top 10? Because to me, that's interesting. Is Kawhi Leonard consistent enough, good enough to get into the top 10? Steph Curry would need a second act to get into the top 10, but he's very close. Who else? The Greek Freak has to win a championship or two, at least one. He has to win one championship to get in there. Kawhi's got 2. If Kawhi added 2 more, let's say, now he's got 4. Now, he's not a great regular season player. He's won 2 titles. I don't think he's one of the great players of all time. I think he's one of the great players of today, but not of all time. I need consistency there. You take time off, load management, all of those things factor in. I look at these guys who are playing 81, 82, 80 games every single year. I expect that out of my great players. But Shaq and Kobe, Kevin Durant has a chance. If he wins a title with the Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant, I could see as a top 10 player of all time. Now, he might get there anyway with just, sheer numbers. And he's got a title. But I think if you're going to go top 10, I need more than just one title to be in the top 10. Just my feeling there. If you're looking at greats of all time, there has to be something that says, boy, great career. Now to put you in the top 10, there has to be something that goes along with that. And please do not, I don't want you to misinterpret what I say about Bill Russell. Because if you said I get Bill Russell on my team, I'm thrilled. But, when I had this argument with Chris Mannix yesterday, he goes, and I said, Rick Barry to me is a better player than Russell Westbrook. That's it. Not more talented because he goes, oh, Russell Westbrook would kill him going one-on-one. How would Bill Russell do against Shaq? He wouldn't do well, folks. If you look at Russell and his size, he would not do well. That's it. Oh, he did well against Wilt Chamberlain. No, the Celtics did well against Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt once had 55 rebounds, I believe, on the Celtics. Wilt still put up good numbers. He just didn't win. Bill Russell won. Oh, you got to put him in the top 5. I know it sounds blasphemous. I don't think Russell is a top 10 player. I think with his resume, those accomplishments, you're going to put him in there. But if I'm looking at the talent, and is he a top 10 player? Okay, I'm putting him in there because 11 titles. And if that's the final line of your resume and where you're going to be placed there, then he should be number 1 all time, right? Why is LeBron above Bill Russell? He got 3. Mike's got 6. Bill's got 11. Well, he's good enough to get in there with 11, but he's not good enough to be put higher than guys who have less titles than him combined. That's where it gets confusing. Oscar, I saw him play. He was dominating. Even better in college, I thought. But still, he's giving you A triple. That's all people know about with Oscar Robertson. They don't know anything about his winning percentage. They don't know anything about it. You just don't. It's like when you talk about quarterbacks and you go, well, you got to include Johnny Unitas. Did you see him? No, but you got to include Johnny Unitas. Okay. People look at Joe Namath and think Joe Namath was a great quarterback. He wasn't. He was as stylistic as anybody who ever played the position. He played in New York and pulled off the biggest upset in Super Bowl history. People don't know he threw more interceptions than touchdowns. We get caught up in these, well, I'm told this. You still have the eye test. And Joe Namath, as much as I love him as a person, was not one of the great quarterbacks of all time. I never thought he was a Hall of Famer. And he wasn't healthy. Nobody threw a prettier ball, though. I loved Namath the way he threw. But he didn't have great numbers. He had a magical year when they won the Super Bowl. But that's not enough to get you into the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. That's why when we vote, what are we voting on? Are we voting on what we're supposed? Like, is Kobe better than LeBron? I have no problem if you want to put Kobe ahead of LeBron right now. No problem. He got 5 titles. Why isn't Kobe ahead of LeBron? Because we're told it's an argument between LeBron and Michael. Nobody else is allowed. Nobody else is involved here. So that's where it gets tricky. And I got passionate about it. But because I take great pride in having watched basketball and having seen these quarterbacks play. If you want to have these lists, who's voting on it? And what is your criteria? Just be fair to the fans. Yeah, Paul.
The one guy you mentioned a little bit early, Steph Curry, he's 31 years old. He's going to be healthy next year. The league is kind of wide open, and he'll have Klay Thompson back. It's going to be interesting if he reverts back to 28, 29, 30 points a game, Steph Curry, without Kevin Durant. If he could somehow pull off an MVP and a title or both in the second half of his career, that brings him right back to prominence.
Yeah, I thought that he was going to be the pick for MVP. You know, that comeback story, no Durant, and just the resurgence of the Golden State Warriors, that if Steph Curry has a second career here, then he's got a chance to be a top 10 player of all time. Because he has the titles. He changed the game. He's going to be the all-time leading three-point shooter. Kevin Durant has a chance to go in there. And the Greek Freak, statistically will be great. He just has to have titles if he's going to be a top 10 player. But I was just thinking about that as the next step with this top 10 list or top 74 players that ESPN put out. We'll take a break. Your phone call is coming up. Play of the day right after this.
So the other day I'm watching, I think it's maybe like the 6 o'clock Sports Center or something like that. And my daughter, she's about 8, strolls in the room. And they're showing some UFC highlights. I can't remember who the fighters were, but I try to not let her watch that kind of stuff. But she saw it real quick for about 10 seconds. And she pauses for a second and she goes, Dad, which hurts worse, getting punched in the head or punched in the stomach? What is your answer? And I'll give you my answer. I said stomach, because stomach, I think, is unexpected, and it really debilitates you. Getting hit in the head, sometimes you get dizzy and you don't even remember you got hit. There's no concussion in the stomach. What do you guys think?
Yeah, but you can strengthen your stomach muscles. You can't strengthen your face muscles. So when you get hit in the stomach, these guys are already...
But I'm talking us guys with our looseness.
Well, I'm going to have to remove myself from this conversation, but I would let you guys discuss that because I'm flat out ripped.
Flat out ripped.
Yes.
McLovin.
To Dan's question, do you know the punch is coming?
Let's put it this way. You got to sign up for one of two things. Getting punched really hard in the gut.
Definitely stomach.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you want to get punched in the stomach or you want to get punched in the face?
I want to get punched in the stomach because, like Dan's, I have abs of steel.
There you go.
Ab of
No, but I don't like getting hit in the head. Who wants to get hit in the head? You could get knocked out.
Well, you could pick any part of your head. You could get like the side of the head. It doesn't have to necessarily be the mouth or the nose.
Seems like something a lot more serious could happen to you if you get punched in the head or face than the stomach. And for me, I got some extra layers of protection, unfortunately. So I'll take the stomach punch.
But Todd, you have stomach issues. You would explode like a turkey, overcooked turkey.
I do have some stomach issues, but I'd rather take a chance of some kind of gastrointestinal flare from a punch in the stomach from what damage could be done to my head or my brain.
Seton?
See, I was originally thinking the face would be easier because it felt like there's just like more bone there to protect things. But then that also just means that there's more bone to break. The idea of like a jaw or like your eye socket or something, or your nose, I don't want to. I'll just get punched in the stomach instead.
All right, that's stomach or head on the Dan Patrick Show.
Stomach or head.
You got a Rodman story that you can tell me?
I got a ton that I can't tell you.
Do you have one, though?
Well, let's see. I mean, yeah, there are a lot. Trying to pick apart the ones that I'm not allowed to tell.
When he was dating Madonna, did you guys talk to him about that?
No. Didn't really ask him much about.
When he was wearing a dress, did you like? Come on.
Did not ask him about the dress. I think the thing with Dennis that people would be surprised to know is that most of it was an act. You know, he's actually a very shy, quiet person. At practice, he hardly ever said anything. He revered Michael and Phil, and it was just a good worker when he'd come to practice, and then he'd go, and all kinds of hell would break loose. And you'd turn on the TV, you'd be like, "What the hell's going on?" And then he'd come back to practice and just be quiet, and then do his work and go home again and do something else crazy.
Well, that time that I was out with him at the Crowbar, and then came in. Remember that? I came in the next morning, and you and Judd Bushler are going, "Yeah, out with Dennis," and Dennis is running around like a madman. And I'm like seeing 5 different heads when I'm looking out there. And I think Dennis had he had like 18 rebounds that night or something crazy, but just boundless energy. And anytime you went up to the bar, you had to do a kamikaze shot. So he was at the bar, and then he had a Chicago police shirt on, and then he kept calling me Sager. He'd go, "Hey, Sager." He thought it was Craig Sager. He'd go, "Sager, do a shot." So anytime you went to get a beer, you had to do a shot. So thank God there was no social media back then, Steve.
Thank God. We know that. And then he'd get 23 boards the next night.
God. Unbelievable. Did he ever guard Jordan in practice?
A little bit. He'd get switched on to him or something. And usually it was more fun than anything. Michael would laugh and they would kind of smile but it was fun to watch. And Scotty, same thing. Scotty and Michael going at it in practice was amazing.
That would be real, though, watching those two go at it. Whereas
that was real.
The old Dennis from the Piston days would have been great, but not the one with the Bulls.
Play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! They're gonna play it and play it.
This is the play of the day.
Check this out.
Lifted in the air, in the infield. Derek Jeter waiting. Makes the catch. A no-hitter for Dwight Gooden.
On this day 24 years ago, Doc no-hit the Mariners. He threw 134 pitches. That lineup included Edgar Martinez, Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez, Jay Buhner. Doc's only career no-hitter. He had been suspended most of 1994 and all 1995 due to repeated violations of Major League Baseball's drug policy. Play of the day. Play of the day is brought to you by LegalZoom. Need to make it legal? Make it LegalZoom.com. No matter what happens, you want to make sure you take care of your loved ones, and LegalZoom makes it easy. You don't have to leave your home. You can set up the right estate plan. Take care of your family today, the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. If you would have told me at age 20, after watching Doc Gooden pitch 2 years with the Mets, do you want to bet on this guy? How much do you want to bet on this guy going to the Hall of Fame? I would have put everything to the center of the table. I think he was 17-8 his rookie year, and he was 24-4 his second year. And that second year, when you watch a pitcher and you feel sorry for hitters, so you have an ERA of 1.53, but he had a great fastball, but a really electric breaking ball. And when you're 24-4 and you have 16 complete games, he's only 20 years of age. And he's playing in New York, so you're going to get extra credit there if you do something great. And then all of a sudden, it went south. Went south in a hurry there for Doc Gooden. Yeah, Paulie.
If you open this up to all sports, where a young, maybe after their rookie year athlete, and not just Michael Jordan, LeBron James, I would say Eric Dickerson of the Rams, we're throwing out his name. When he busted into the league that year, he felt like a track star that weighed 230. And I guess the same with Earl Campbell. But I remember when Eric Dickerson came in, I remember thinking to myself, oh, he's going to have every rushing record. This is silly.
But running backs, we fall in love with early, and it's not sustainable. That's the thing. A quarterback can come in. Dan Marino, his second year, threw 48 touchdowns. And if you would have said, would you bet on him going to the Hall of Fame, I would have said yes. Yeah, Paulie.
Eric Dickerson's first 2 years in the NFL, 1,800 yards and 2,100 yards. He averaged over 5 yards a carry for his first 2 years. He averaged 120 yards a game. So a bad game was 110 yards for his first 2 years. And then he had a few more really good years, but he had basically a 6-year unbelievable run.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, and I'm sure this audience can remind us of, if you were going to bet after 2 years of somebody's career, and I know running backs are probably going to dominate this list because they do come in, and back then you were featured. Now you're not featured as much. Like Christian McCaffrey, Hall of Famer? And I would say no. Knowing that position, I would go no. Even though he had an unbelievable season last year. Saquon Barkley, Hall of Famer? I'd say no. And I don't know what running backs right now you'd go, that guy's going to the Hall of Fame. I know Frank Gore's going to the Hall of Fame. I don't know who else is going to the Hall of Fame of these current running backs. But if you were looking at a 2-year wonder, like Zion Williamson, you all in going to the Hall of Fame? Like I would say no right now. Because I don't know if he's going to win, and I don't know how his game is going to develop. So I would say no. Begrudgingly, no. Lonzo Ball, I'd say yes. Yes, McLovin. I was joking. Yes.
Yeah, by the way, Zion's already number 9 on the ESPN 7.
Have they moved up already?
Yeah, they revised it. I just want to let you know.
I would like to have seen, or if they had a new, I can't say a new list. What am I saying? But if you did a list of top 10 players who you think will join the top 10 list. Oh, there you go, ESPN. You're welcome. Go get them. Let me see. Rob in Florida joins us. Hi, Rob. What do you have on your mind today?
Hey, Dan.
Hi, Rob.
2 things. This is a huge thank you to the 5 of you guys and all the guys in the back. I was unemployed on March 11th, and I've tried to do my best for 10 weeks to stay shelter in place. You guys are a bright spot in my day. And I never thought I'd wake up and say, God, I got to listen to Dan Patrick today.
My wife says the same thing.
Well, she's had to do it for a lot longer.
Yeah.
I've only had 10 weeks at this.
Okay.
And so I just want to say thank you. Guys like you that are on, you're giving, it's really tough right now being here. Here's my comment. I really appreciate what you said yesterday about the politics. This is not politics about it. I haven't been able to get unemployment benefits in 10 weeks. Our state is all messed up, the computer systems. people are really in trouble here in Florida. This is really.
And they're in trouble everywhere. I'm sorry, Rob, to have to cut you off. We're up against the commercial break. We'll get some more phone calls coming up. We'll talk to the Raptors head coach, Nick Nurse, coming up. Dan Patrick Show.
Fellas, I'd like to thank you for a great birthday yesterday. Yesterday was my birthday. After the show, it was very thoughtful. You guys got me a cake. What? I was really, honestly, I was moved. You brought a cake in.
It looked more impressive in person.
Well,
than that
it's
photo.
an Oreo cake. It's really nice. It was tasty.
Unbelievably good.
It was unbelievably good. You guys sang to me. It was powerful. Now, it was thoughtful. I got the first piece of cake. Someone cut me the first piece of cake. Seton, please.
That is not a doctored photo. That is an accurate piece of cake.
I just think that maybe someone said, hey, Paulie's trying to drop a few pounds. Don't eat too much. Thank you for that. And then, luckily, I brought some cake home to my family, and here's what I was able to bring home to them. It looked like this. We got it.
But did the dogs get it?
It's a good question. Did the dogs get it? So here's what it looked like after we cut a few pieces for people when I say we. The I-Team's on this story, Dan. And in our next look-in, you will have the exclusive I-Team report of... Give me a second.
How we got here?
How my birthday played out. Gentlemen, the I-Team is here to find out what happened to my birthday cake. As you can see here, I asked my birthday for Todd to cut the cake, a simple process, just cut a couple slices for everybody. Here's how it played out.
Is this like some kind of...
The cake cutting.
All right, I'm gonna think for some kind of toy that's setting me up for
Stalling.
He is.
Called it. I knew Todd wasn't going to take it out. Something that you could do that's going to make this easier, buddy.
taking it out.
No, not seen. I'm sorry. I can't. Wanted to let that go across. I knew he was going to cut it over.
That's not a great piece right there.
Is that mine? Awesome.
I want to get you a bigger piece.
First piece goes to the birthday boy.
It's falling apart.
Fast. It's falling.
Is this my fault that this is falling apart while I'm cutting it?
Do you think there might be a way that you have a better angle at it?
I'm cutting it the way I would normally cut it.
He's cutting it the way he normally cuts it, which means he's done it before. I don't know.
Ooh, I don't want that one.
Well, that's a better piece.
That's a good.
You're getting there. Okay.
Making some progress.
Have your children ever had a birthday? Are you gonna shut it down now so the whole cake's not rolling?
Yeah, I'm gonna shut it down. I think. Let's take a look. How would you grade yourself?
I'd say B plus.
See, any tips that you might give Todd for next time?
Is this the first time somebody's used a camera phone here? Like, the French kid is filming this, right?
Now you have full light.
See, to be fair, let's compare your piece to Todd.
I'm sorry about my fingers.
Todd cut the
This was the first effort, but then it got progressively better. This one's okay.
And we are out.
I may have had a better birthday, but I can't remember when.
Is anybody else dizzy?
I'm nauseous there. I don't know what was worse, your cake cutting or the camera work there. Good God.
High definition.
I think we all learned something, though.
Todd's never used utensils.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
You know, I love a good list. They have their list of the 74 greatest players in NBA history, this being the 74th year.
The unofficial name of this list was 50 Lakers and 24 other guys.
The undisputed #1 sports talk radio show of all time. Tell me different.
How many people saw Oscar play with the Royals? Isaiah Thomas is one of the top 20 players of all time. Chris Paul is not a better player than Rick Barry. You see, I've seen the guys on the list. All right.
You're going to tell me that Rick Barry had any shot at doing anything with Russell Westbrook? Like, no way.
I was wondering where Zion was on the list.
I apologize not being chronologically old enough to have seen Rick Barry play. Like, my bad.
You know what? Why don't you be older, Chris?
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave.
I want you to get on my lawn. Get on my lawn.
This is Dan Patrick.
Welcome to the program, already in progress. It's hour 2 on this Thursday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Glad to have you on board. Check in with the Toronto Raptors' Nick Nurse, their great head coach. He's part of my great trivia question I have. Have that for him coming up in about 20 minutes from now. Phone calls always welcome here on the program, 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address, dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP Show. I'm being asked by Marcus in Syracuse, Dear Mr. Patrick, as the commissioner of the AUAA, you have been mainly silent on the return of the league. Do you have a statement to make on the current status of the league and a potential return? The American Unathletic Association of America, I am ready to go where anybody will have us. We'll go anywhere. Nobody wants us.
State's going to have a bidding process here, or?
I don't think so. Like we're if they want us to go to Disney World and we'll play our league down there, I'll go there. They want us to go to Arizona, I'll go there. It doesn't matter. Wherever we're wanted, we will go and play the American Unathletic Association of America. Yes, Paul.
What if our current state asks us to go, if you know what I mean? What if they don't even want
They want us to leave.
Yes, they would like.
Yes.
We'd like you to excuse you from the state.
Yeah. We don't want you. We want you to leave. All right, we'll get to phone calls here. McLevin has a poll question. Are we going to stay with that poll question?
Yeah. Do you have a problem with networks pumping in fan crowd noise 50-50? So people are totally split. I'm surprised. I thought people would. Social media seemed to be against it last night.
Well, that's what you told me this morning, and I thought, okay, I understand it. I would like to hear all of the sounds of a game that you wouldn't normally hear. Now, I don't know if we grow tired of that. I don't know if we have to be. Does somebody have to tell us when to cheer or help us cheer? If I'm watching a game at home and I'm watching with my guys, my family, you're going to celebrate. I don't need the crowd noise to tell me to celebrate or help me celebrate there. I'd like to hear the ambient sound there. I think that would be interesting to hear that. Basketball, definitely. I want to hear that. And I'm sure you might have to have a 7-second delay with some frisky language there. Yes, Paul?
I know I've watched a few soccer games. I watched a few soccer matches where there's no crowd for different reasons. Sometimes there's different political reasons, reasons where crowds get barred from the premises. It's weird because there's a mental cues in your head that aren't being served. Like when a guy runs into the goal, the guy still celebrates. He runs and his teammates are going crazy on top of him, but there's not the background of the noise to go with it. And it doesn't make sense in your head. It's like, it's very disconcerting. You get used to it, but not really.
I'm okay. At this point, I don't care what it is that I have to put up with as long as I get to see a product on the field. If you don't have sound, if you do have sound, if you have cardboard cutout fans there, I'm okay. This is not the way it's going to be. This is the way it probably will be for at least this year. After that, we should return to normal, whatever normal is after that. All right, you can watch on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, all 3 hours. And you can listen on our 362 radio affiliates around the country. States are looking to open up. How can they help some of these sports leagues? I mentioned that Florida is open for business, for getting leagues down there. NCAA loosening up rules on underclassmen with the NBA draft. So there's a lot of things that are on the table right now. Probably not one definitive headline today. It feels like there's a couple of things that are percolating, and I don't know where we go. It feels like it's every day, almost every hour, where we're going, wait, now what is California doing? Because yesterday it was like, we're going to extend the stay at home for 3 more months, and then all of a sudden you had somebody walk it back, and the mayor of LA go, no, not quite sure. We're going to do 3 months. This is going to affect sports, and this is what we do. We cover sports. The aspect of the element of sports and how it's affected by this is what we've been talking about with the Pac-12. We've been talking about the NFL teams in California as well. These are all real things. How they play out, we don't know, but these are all real things that are being discussed. Do the NFL teams in California have to play elsewhere to start out the season? Do you share a stadium? And these are the contingency plans. What happens with the Pac-12 teams? What happens to the teams in California? What happens to UCLA? What happens to USC? What happens to Stanford? Are we waiting for college football season to start? Other parts of the country open for business. I certainly understand that. And one other thing I wanted to say, I hope you, if you're listening and you've listened for a while, then you trust me when I'm telling you something. I don't play political games. I don't troll. I don't want to weaponize anything here. I don't mention anything about presidents. I try not to do any of that. I don't want to do that. You have enough of that if you want it. The reason why this is so close to home for me in a variety of ways is I have a compromised immune system, okay? So it is a little more important. It is personal for me. When I tell you this, I have to take precautions every single day. I go to work, I go home. I don't go anyplace else. Home, work, that's it. But I have to do that. My children, my son came back from Singapore. I said, you have to quarantine for 14 days. He went to Vermont and he quarantined for 14 days. My daughter is in California, has been out there for 6 weeks because I didn't want her to come back to New York. If she comes back to New York, she has to quarantine. They know the risk. I know the risk. That's why when I tell you this, it's personal for me. I haven't lost anybody close to me. I haven't felt any symptoms here. And I said to the Danettes, if you feel like you're sick or you don't want to come in, you stay at home. And Fritzy's at home. McLovin's at home and Seaton's at home. Paulie keeps a 20-foot distance from me in here. We've cut the staff in half of those who show up. So this isn't about politics. And I know people want to grab it and make it political. It's not. This is personal, okay? Not political. I hope you know me well enough and you trust me that I would not do that. That's not what this show does. So when I brought it up yesterday, and I even was done with the show, and my wife was surprised. She said, I'm surprised that you brought it up. And I said, because it's personal. Every single day, you wake up and you worry about other people around you. Who's wearing a mask, who's not, where you go. Like, these are all things that are real to me. Maybe not to you. I have a friend in Arizona, and he says, I can't relate. I said to him, I said, Andy, you understand my immune system, and you understand where I'm living. And if you can't relate to that, then that's on you, not on me. But I'm not here to sensationalize. I don't want your sympathy. This is what I have. I went through something bad, but I'm healthy-ish. But I was told you can't get this virus. So when your doctor says at one of the best hospitals in the world says you can't get this, not if you get this, you can't get this. That's why it's personal, not political. So thank you for allowing me to say that. All right. And I don't even know how to follow that up. But I did want to mention that because this relationship is important to me, what we have every single day. And I do it because I enjoy it. And there are times when you ruffle my feathers, and I do the same to you. But we've been in this together, and you listen. And I would never, ever be disingenuous with you. I would not. I would rather quit this job than be disingenuous. I never troll you. And if I do, we're in it together and we have fun with this. But I want you to understand that. The approach of this show is reflective of me and my personality and who we are. And the people I have here who get a chance to speak on the air. understand that, of who we are and how we do this. That's always been our motto, and will be my motto until I stop doing this. So we're in it together. I want sports back. If you said we're going to have it, we're overreacting, I told you yesterday, I am guilty of overreacting because I have to. It could be tragic if I don't. Okay? So that's why when I say something, I'm saying it from my heart. Not from some playbook. You know, somebody's telling me something, or you need to get this agenda. I don't have an agenda. It's just us. It's just this group that you see right here. That's us. That's it. That's what we do and how we do it. And hopefully we do it in a way that is different. It's professional. And that's always been our approach. Yes, Seton O'Connor.
I hate to do this right now, but earlier this morning, Andrew told me that he thinks LeBron at 2 is too high on that NBA list.
Thank you, Seton.
Sorry, Andrew.
Thank you for that segue. Really?
LeBron at number 2 is too high.
No, I just was trying to I was thinking, what can I get Dan to change the topic on?
Nice.
Well,
if LeBron wins the title this year, is there an asterisk?
Yeah. Well, I did look at the clock and I go, okay, I normally break around 17 after. I got 6 more minutes. I don't have anything else to say other than what I just said, and then you want to make that segue. So thank you, McLevin.
Well, do you want to talk about the Danettes at home bodily functions? Would that help?
No, I don't want to do that either.
I got plenty.
I don't want to do that. All right, we'll get to phone calls here, and hopefully we're open for business. Really, it would make my job a lot easier, and hopefully it gets the economy back. And, you know, I heard from somebody last hour, Rob in Florida, who called in right at the tail end, and he said, you know, this is difficult. You know, you're out of work, or you can't have a normal life. And, you know, we're lucky we get to go to work. The hardships are going to be felt for a long, long, long time. And I hate hearing those stories, seeing those stories, going by restaurants that you normally go to, and they're boarded up. I went into New York City. I had to pick up my son when he flew in from Singapore with his fiance. We packed up 2 cars. So we were in our car. My wife drove down in the other one. We parked at Newark Airport, and there was nobody in the parking lot. And he came out. He had been gone for 6 weeks. We had not seen him for 6 weeks. I waved to him. He had his mask on. I had my mask on. He got into the other car, and then we drove back up to Connecticut. We drove through New York. I just wanted to see what New York looked like. This is a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I could have shot a cannon up 6th Avenue and not hit anybody. You know, so just when you see it up close, I mean, it's as real as can get. And yes, it's hard to get away from it. That's why we try to provide a diversion. And I've tried my best to be that diversion every single day. We come in and go, what do we do? How do we make this fun? Who do we have on? That's why when we reach out to Will Ferrell, Bryan Cranston, Adam Sandler, I just want to make you laugh. Have some fun. If you can check in with us for an hour, 30 minutes, whatever. And we can help you in any way. That's our job. That's our public service. That's what we're here for. And to be able to do that is rewarding. When people say thank you, hey, for whatever small thing we do, you're welcome. And we hope to be able to continue to do it because you allow us into your life. There's no better compliment than you allow us into your life, into your car, into your home. You're watching now on YouTube. I mean, you can't give me a better compliment than that. And it's always on my mind. Every single day we do this. All right, a couple more phone calls, then we'll check in with Nick Nurse, head coach of the Toronto Raptors. He better be damn funny. That's all I got to say. After Fritzy, tell Nick Nurse to be funny when he comes on here.
He's preparing some material as we speak.
Yeah, hopefully not your material.
Oh,
whoa! Where'd you come up with that? Kevin in Alabama joins us. Hi, Kevin. How are you today?
Hey, you're doing pretty good, Mr. Patrick. How about you?
Oh, spectacular. What's on your mind?
I was just thinking.
All right.
There's no pro football teams in Alabama. if you can get 110,000 in Tuscaloosa, I'm sure you can get 50,000 Charger fans in Tuscaloosa and spread them out. I guarantee you.
Hey, as long as everybody is safe, Kevin, and we do this, I hope that wherever anybody could host a football game, they're able to do that. But thank you for the phone call. And yeah, I'm all for let's push the boundaries on this a little bit to understand what we can and can't do right now. That's all. If we can, I told the audience a stat last hour that I heard from somebody affiliated with the NFL. If NFL teams, the leagues come back, they were looking at, this was the estimate I was given, 60,000 tests per week. And I was told by my source who said, how could we possibly use up those 60,000 tests with a right mind with other people not getting tests? So there's so many things that we want to happen, but there's hurdles of making that happen and getting over those hurdles. And there's smarter people than me who are going to help us figure that out. Yeah, Paul.
I think what I'm most fascinated is with the NBA because their window is so short right now, and they've been very quiet. Adam Silver's been kind of on lockdown. Remember he did him about 3 weeks ago, was on with Rachel Nichols. I haven't heard a word from Adam Silver in a while.
But even Rob Manfred, baseball's commissioner, they're doing the smart thing.
Right.
I don't want to hear anything. I want you to be able to show me something. Because it feels like when they tell you something, then you go, well, wait a minute. You said we were coming back March or May 15th. Now we're talking July 4th. July 4th with baseball. And Rob Manfred hasn't said that my source said May 4th or July 4th. Now, not Rob Manfred, but I'm glad that the commissioners are kind of hunkered down here to try to come up with solutions. Yeah, Paul.
Until the day they make their announcement. Like Adam Silver right now is probably going through many different scenarios with his people, going through with doctors and lawyers and liability. But there's going to be a day out here in the next 2 or 3 weeks where the NBA announces we are doing this.
Yeah.
And they're going to have everything buttoned up. I'm fascinated to know the backstory to get to that day.
I can't imagine what it must be like for these commissioners where you go from one Zoom meeting to another Zoom meeting to another Zoom meeting of, I'm going to talk to this politician, I'm going to talk to this member of the Players Association. Like, you're just going on and on and on, trying to come up with solutions, contingency plans. Greg in Illinois joins us. Hi, Greg. What do you have for me?
Hey, DP. Tomorrow's Meat Friday, baby.
Woo!
Cheer up.
Woo!
Hey, quick question for you. I think some of these hypotheticals of sports coming back has us fans thinking a little bit selfishly again, but a lot of this in part comes back to the guys who are actually playing the games. So is there a certain number of players who have to say they won't come back, or a certain caliber of player who says no that might change whether or not a sport comes back? Like what if Mike Trout says I don't want to move my pregnant wife to Florida to not make the playoffs again?
I don't know if you need to add the don't make the playoffs again, but I understand what you're saying there, Greg. I don't know if every player is going to want to come back. You know, every marquee player, they want to get paid. And that's another thing. You have this squabble going on with the Players Association and owners here of, are you going to pay us? How much are you going to pay us? Do you get a year of service here? Like, there's a lot of things in play, not just let's open up the gates and come back and play. I wish it was that simple. It's not going to be that simple anytime soon. But I hope when we hear from these commissioners, that's when they say, here is our plan. As much as the commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, is full speed ahead with this NFL season, I know privately, I've been told, after telling the owners no hypotheticals, nobody talks hypotheticals, because he didn't want that. He wanted to have the schedule released with no hypotheticals. What if? Well, those are in place right now. And I had it reiterated to me yesterday that my source says he truly believes the NFL season starts in October. Truly believes that there will be a 4-week sort of grace period, and they just remove that front part of the schedule and put it at the tail end. But that's just a source that's told me, and I trust the source who said, thinks that we do open up with the Buccaneers and the Bears October 8th on a Thursday night. So hopefully things change in the interim. Hopefully. Take a break, and we'll get to more phone calls coming up. We'll check in with the Raptors head coach, Nick Nurse. What has he been told? How often does he stay in touch with his players? We'll take a break, and does he think that the NBA champ will have an asterisk by its name at the end of the season if we play 20 after the hour. Back after this on the Dan Patrick Show. In a recent study, researchers revealed substantial rise in the number of cyber attacks performed by websites. Now they're posing as Netflix. Scammers are focusing their attention on people who stream content. The stay-at-home era, they're trying to capitalize on this. On average, over 2,600 coronavirus-related cyber attacks occur each day. They're coming after you. Every day we put our information at risk on the internet, and cyber criminals keep finding new ways. That's why you have to find LifeLock. LifeLock, the leader in identity theft protection, detects a wide range of identity threats like your social security number for sale on the dark web. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. LifeLock can see these threats that you might miss on your own when somebody says you're just monitoring your credit. That's not good enough. Join now. Save up to 25% off your first year. Use the promo code Patrick. Call 1-800-LifeLock, or you can go to LifeLock.com. Make sure you use the promo code Patrick, where you can get up to 25% off. All right, McLovin, what's the poll question you're going to go with?
If they were coming out today, who would you draft, Drew Brees or Peyton Manning? And I don't think you answered the question.
I would take Peyton Manning. I'd take Peyton Manning. Anybody take Drew Brees? Paula, you would?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't want either. Neither are mobile enough for today's game.
Yeah, but the fact you don't have to be mobile as much as you're not allowed to hit the quarterback, and everything is short passes here. And Peyton's ability to go to the line of scrimmage and change it. So now you're at an even more decided disadvantage on the defensive side of the ball. Peyton today, like of all the quarterbacks, I think Dan Marino would probably have benefited the most of playing today because Marino had a spread offense. He had the quickest release, and he could throw it deep. He could throw it short. I think Marino would probably benefit more than any other quarterback. And I'm curious about that because Elway was mobile. I wonder if how he would have benefited. But of all the quarterbacks, it feels like Marino would probably be the one who would benefit the most. Peyton's ability to be able to process in real, like we talk about Sean McVay. So Peyton's Sean McVay on the field. He's better than Sean McVay when it comes to processing. So he's doing that in real time, and you have no chance against him. So when he's playing at his best, I don't think that anybody was better than Peyton Manning. At his best. At carving you up, deciding what he's going to do at the line of scrimmage. I think he was always a step ahead of everybody else. Yes, Eden.
That quote from Rodney Harrison always sticks with me, though, about Peyton Manning, where he said, we just knew at some point at the end of the game he was going to cough one up.
Peyton in the playoffs is different.
That always sticks with me.
Yeah.
That, like, man, I don't know. I might want Drew Brees instead.
Yeah, Paul.
Dungy had a quote, too, that's always stuck in my head. And Dungy is as big of a Peyton Manning backer. He says, sometimes he gets paralyzed by analysis.
Yep.
He said that to you, and he caught a little heat for it. He said sometimes Peyton may overthink things. One thing on Brees, he doesn't get sacked anymore. He averages getting sacked 1 time per game over the past 3 years. He's been sacked 9 times in 9 games this year.
Yep.
They never touch him.
Yeah, McLeod.
I think the damning thing is the Saints haven't been consistent winners. You know, they've been 500 for almost half of Brees's. But I know it's all on the defense. And in Brees, last year's playoffs, I thought was a bit disappointing. I think he was having some shoulder problems.
Yeah, he didn't look healthy last year. And I don't know if this year's Saints are better than last year. But, you know, you can look at this as Brees healthier this year. They don't have Mark Ingram. And it feels like you still have Ted Ginn. But, I mean, Michael Thomas is your guy. And Kamara, maybe not as dangerous as he was last year. Yeah, McLeod.
Well, Brees got a little rest with the broken hand, too. By the way, what happened to that broken hand? He can't miss a pass now.
I know. Well, he missed one last night. Yeah, Paul.
You know, you could say that Brees has been 500 sometimes, but his worst season as a Saint, he's had a bunch of 7 and 9 seasons, but it's never been worse than that. But he's also had 13 wins, 11 wins, 13 wins, 11 wins, 13, 11. And that's a franchise that is known for doing nothing for a generation, and he's made them at least competitive every year.
and I hate having the argument, but it almost feels like it's welcome today because Drew Brees is putting up these numbers. If he got an opportunity to play in another Super Bowl, obviously with what happened with the Rams, would we look at him differently? Peyton's got 2, but does he really just have 1 that he was, a really good quarterback or a great quarterback? But you got a 5-time MVP in Peyton Manning. So the argument is, who would you rather have? And I would still take Peyton Manning. I think Peyton Manning changed the game. 5 MVPs. He was first team All-Pro 7 times. He had 2 non-double-digit win seasons in his career. And granted, you like to say this all the time, McLevin. Yeah, but he was playing in the AFC South. He got to play indoors. I get all of those things. Drew Brees, all right, he's in the NFC South, and he's playing indoors. Peyton Manning changed football. So I would put Peyton Manning above Drew Brees, but I'd have no problem if you said, hey. Dan Patrick Show brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. The all-new GT 4-door coupe. Because life is a race, visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you miss any interviews from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the DP Show app. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG driving performance. Got the Traeger grill fired up. Got burgers there. You got Meat Friday tomorrow, but I said to Paulie, we should probably do like a preliminary Meat Friday.
Got to get our weight up for the season.
We do?
I always like to say that.
He's Nick Nurse, the head coach of my Toronto Raptors. No matter where he goes, he wins. He's won in the D-League, British Basketball League, the Belgian Basketball League, all of the great leagues around the world, and he joins us now. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, Dan. What's happening today?
If we don't have an NBA season, do then the Raptors carry the title for another year? Are you 2-time NBA champs?
Or one time really long.
Long time.
NBA champs, I think.
I had a trivia question. It's not a trivia question. I think it's just an interesting fact. Schools to produce an NBA Finals winning head coach and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You're on that list, Nick.
Wow. Kurt Warner.
Yes.
The great Kurt Warner.
Northern Iowa. You're on that list with Steve Kerr. Arizona, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl.
Awesome.
And here's one for you. Michigan is on the list. Tom Brady and Rudy Tomjanovich.
Wow.
So there you go. You learned something. That's it. That's all I needed to talk to you about, Coach.
That is 5 really cool names to be associated with. That's awesome. That's awesome.
How often do you stay in touch with your players?
Not that often, to be honest. We've had a few Zoom calls. We've certainly got somebody from our training staff in touch with them almost every day, every other day. Assistant coaches every 3 or 4 days just to check in.
What did you make of Shaquille O'Neal saying they should scrap the season altogether?
Well, that's a school of thought, I guess. I mean, it's been 2 months now. I think the time is on our side. The longer we go and get things out, push things out, the safer things are going to be. But I also think that we've put in a lot of work this year. We've only got, we played 62 games or something like that. We've almost got it done. So crowning a champion, if it's possible and if it's safe, I think we should still strive for that for sure.
Have you heard a plan that you think would work?
Well, I'm only hearing, the same plans you guys are hearing. And I think that getting it done and getting the competition on, I think for everybody's general psyche, I mean, fans, no fans, just getting something on TV and some competition that the world, not only this country, but globally can tune in and watch, I think would be great for everybody.
What would we hear if there were no fans and we're watching an NBA game?
Yeah, I think you're going to hear a lot. I think a lot of us would have to adjust our our normal in-game routine, whatever that is. But
well, wait,
I would hear a lot.
How colorful is your language during a game?
Much more colorful than my mother would hope it would be. Let's put it that way. I hate to admit that, but I'd like to cut back on it someday, and maybe someday I will.
Does it ever help when a coach yells at a player?
Oh, for sure.
But can't you get that? The message I get to my kids, the lower my voice, the more impact I have. And whenever a coach used to yell at me, I just tune him out after a while.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think you can do it very constantly. I think, ever, you say ever. Yeah, it does sometimes. I don't make a habit of yelling at the players at all. And rarely, I think you're probably looking at a half dozen times for a season, maybe, and maybe less than that for brief moments in a film room or something.
Is a player allowed to yell back?
For sure, man. We're grown men here. We're having a discussion.
Did you ever yell at Kawhi?
Everybody's participating sometimes.
Did you ever yell at Kawhi?
I don't think so. I did have some. Yeah, maybe one or two times in a film session. When we went down 0-1 to Orlando in the opening round, I don't think anybody was spared the next couple days there, including, and it was pretty change of feeling and momentum and thinking and attitude that we needed quickly.
It's hard to envision you mad. Like, you seem chill.
Well, I think a lot of us are chilled and very nice. But when the competition starts, you're competing, and it's tough out there. I think it's one of the things we see in the Last Dance stuff, man. When it's the heat of the battle, we're seeing some guys that are anything to win and physical and knocking people around and whatever it takes,
But I know you're a Chicago fan. How big a Jordan fan were you?
I mean, I was really, I was big. I was a big fan. I was caught up in the era of greatness, and I was probably more of a Phil fan. I was already a young coach, and I was really more fascinated probably with Phil Jackson than Michael. But obviously, listen, I used to get in my car and drive 5 hours from Des Moines to Chicago, buy a standing room only ticket, and watch the game and drive 5 hours back in the same day to go coach my team at Grandview University the next morning,
But you're trying, I know that it was acceptable back then, admired back then. Imagine if LeBron played that way and his personality was that way. Would we allow LeBron to be the same way Michael was in the 90s?
Well, I don't know. I think that's, again, a fascinating thing to watch. I think that it certainly is different with the social media constant glare of that in this day and age. I think it would certainly take a different, thing. But listen, LeBron's competing like he's competing like crazy too now. I've seen enough of him up close to know that he's out there to do whatever it takes to win too.
But when you watch LeBron, would you ever allow LeBron in your mind to be better than Michael Jordan? What could he do that you would go, all right, he's going to be top 10 scoring and assist when it's all said and done? You can't ask for much more than that from an offensive player.
Yeah, he's incredible, Dan. I think that the only thing I can say is this is, tried to come up with game plans to stop him over and over, and haven't really been very successful. He's seen it all. He knows how to adjust to everything. He really is a pass, minded player. He really gets the people the ball, and he throws that thing 100 miles an hour right to the shooting pocket. He makes the reads. He doesn't get rattled very often. He's got a lot of things that make him really, really tough to stop.
Who has a bigger impact on the game 10 or 15 years from now, LeBron or Steph Curry?
Well, I think they both have a huge impact. I think what Steph has done as far as shooting from 30 feet or 35 feet or whatever has changed all over the world. I think little kids all over the world are bombing from, the 3-point line, but they say, forget about the 3-point line. Let's back up another 10 feet and shoot too. Cause this guy does it, and they emulate him, and the freedom that Kerr, Steve Kerr's given him, and he's created, and the skill and all that stuff has certainly changed the game a lot, I think.
But we can't be like Mike, Nick. We can't be like LeBron. But all of us think we can be like Steph Curry. That's why I think his impact will be, it'll be even larger than Michael's from the standpoint of every kid thinks he can play in the NBA. We knew we couldn't do what Mike did. We can't be 6'9", 270 like LeBron. Steph Curry, we can be 6'3", 190.
It's a great point. I agree with you. Work on your handles like crazy. Figure out how to shoot lower release points so you can shoot it from 40 feet. And well, he practices a little bit too, you know.
If I said we were going to have a game of horse, NBA coaches.
Yes.
Give me 2 other guys you'd want to go against.
2 I'd want to go against.
Well, no. Give me the 2
so
other.
Win, or...
Yeah. Give me the best game. If we played horse with NBA coaches.
Oh boy, that's let me just off the top of my head. I obviously think who are the really, really good players?
Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr. Doc Rivers was an incredible player.
Can Popovich shoot?
I assume at some point in his life he probably could. He was a good player too.
Okay.
That's a good question. I have to think about
so
that.
You,
one.
Doc Rivers, and
was
Steve
a
Kerr.
player. Huh?
You, Doc Rivers, Steve Kerr.
Why are you putting me in there? I'm not. Those guys had great NBA careers, multiple playoff wins, championship wins.
Yeah, but you can shoot, right? You were one of the great shooters in Northern Iowa history.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I could shoot a little bit for a mid-level college.
Are you
team.
Are you a better shooter than anybody on the Raptors?
Of course.
Who are you better than?
Most of them.
Okay, then. That didn't take long. That didn't take long to bring that out in you.
Well, you know, shooters are going to think they can shoot, right? I'll take anybody on in a shooting competition.
I love that. You would take Steve Kerr on?
I would, but he'd beat me. He would.
Well, he probably would. You know,
he would.
Yeah, he didn't. How about Rick Carlisle?
Rick Carlisle's another one.
Yeah, he could play.
See some footage of Rick there in the Last Dance. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, he was trying to play defense.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to. Damn, well, maybe I would.
Hey, but if you made the Last Dance, that means you played and you were guarding Mike. I would take that. You get embarrassed?
Say you guarded him, right?
The Nick Nurse Foundation and the limited edition T-shirt. Do you have the T-shirt on?
I have a Boxing One T-shirt on right now. That's coming to the foundation shortly.
Oh, good. That brings back bad memories, Coach.
Why?
My senior year, state basketball tournament.
Yes.
They played a Boxing One on me.
Oh, boy.
And I got shut down. Yeah. I hate the Boxing One.
Sorry.
I think it's cheap.
Really?
Yeah, guard me.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Boxing One.
I'm guarding you really heavily.
Guard. Done.
Yeah.
The shirts say, "Be a team player, stay strong, stay safe," and you got your sunglasses on there, holding the Larry O'Brien Trophy. The foundation supports children, young adults through exposure to music, sports, and literacy. When did you come up with this?
Well, wow. Ironically, we've been obviously planning the foundation for a while. We actually had our kickoff, a night of music in support of the foundation on March 11th. We literally were wrapping it up when the news of Rudy Gobert came out. Yeah. Like we were all there. I went straight to the hospital to get tested right from that event. So we just kicked it off, and we're just trying to the COVID-19 has changed things a little bit, so we're trying to figure out a way to support some kids through this and raise some money and that kind of stuff.
What's the official website? Is it just Nick Nurse Foundation, or do you have a
website?
Yeah,
nicknursefoundation.org. Yeah.
Awesome. Good to talk to you. I'm going to see if I can set up this horse game with you and some of these other coaches here.
Okay, I'll be there.
I like it. Thank you, Coach. Great to talk to you again.
Thanks, Dan.
That's Nick Nurse of my Toronto Raptors. We're going to take a break. Phone calls coming up next here on the Dan Patrick Show. When did you know, though, that you could actually, like, you had talent for being an athlete, like that you could have played? You played college baseball.
I remember when we were making Bull Durham, because sports is something you don't project. I could have been, and because anybody that's played, I never played Division I anything. I wasn't the best player in my high school, But sports is a funny thing where you can tell you can get better, and the guys who want to get better, they do. And so some guys make it to the pros and they weren't. And I had a feeling that I could play farther, but it really didn't show up in high school. It showed up more in college as I was just playing a lot of intramurals. And I remember I'd never hit a home run in organized baseball. Pitched a lot of games, never hit a home run. But when we were working out for Bull Durham, I'm like at 27, and we interviewed so many athletes because we made up 4 teams. And basically the first day, everybody's hitting. I know I'm going to have to hit, and I really didn't want to be watched. I just didn't really want to be watched. I didn't, and I was doing everything that I could to stay away. And those minor league parks are big, so I didn't want to lose balls. So I finally got up there. I realized everybody managed all 60 of them to turn around and watch, because here it was. And I'm thinking, whoa. The first pitch, I tipped it. It dropped straight down to the plate, just like Field of Dreams. That's why I put that moment in Field of Dreams where you're going to hit it out there, and it just dropped down like a limp.
Yeah.
But I backed out of the box because I thought, I didn't like whiff. So I get back in. So then I hit this line drive to shortstop that wouldn't have bent the grass. It was sometimes you get a dead ball and it just went, But I was thinking, okay. And the third pitch went about 370, it went out. And I'd never hit a home run in my life. And I started to think, sometimes we think we're done. If you're not drafted at 18, if you're not, on these things, and I can't project what it would have been, but I managed to play with most of the pros and a lot of the college programs around the country.
You never had sequels.
Well, I don't.
Is it pride?
It's not. No, it's not. And I would do one. I wanted to do one for Brooks, Mr. Brooks. I wanted to do one, but they always have to get over. The writing has to get over the bar, and so what happens is when people want to do a sequel, they just want it to go as quick as you can. Yeah. And the one you made took a long time. It'd be hard, Ron and I are flirting with doing another movie together called, Q School.
Ron Shelton?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's been a long time for us. And that stuff, but, the sequel world is just go as quick as you can, get you into the theater as quick as you can, shake you upside down. And if that movie's no good, you make the third one you have to apologize for that one and get to make the third one. So it's a business, and I honor it. I get it. But it hasn't fit into me, and actually it's not prideful about it at all. It was good business to do that. So I frustrated a level of people that wanted the Bodyguard 2 and wanted the Open Range and the Tin Cup and the Bull Durhams and the Silverado.
But we talked about that a year ago with Bull Durham.
It frustrated people.
And I mean, there is something that's there. It's like when people say, would you ever go back to do SportsCenter? Well, I wouldn't, because I can't be as good as I was. I can't capture that. And I don't know if you feel that way. Like if I do Bull Durham or I do Field of Dreams, or what's my role in our...
Yeah. Well, you see it on paper. Listen, some of those movies on paper that they want you to do a second one of, no one wanted to do the first one. Ron and I walked around like a couple of hookers on Santa Monica trying to get somebody to look at this script. We went through all the studios twice, and finally we got down to Fox at one point, and they would do it for $4 million. And we said, look, we can't do it for $4 million. And I went to Orion, and I had just done No Way Out for them, and I said they had 2 baseball movies. That's why I didn't go to them. They had 8 Men Out, and they had a Rodney Dangerfield comedy, The Scout, or something like that. So I would have been pressing my friendship with them to say, would you take a third baseball movie? But after everybody said no, I was up for Everybody's All-American. And the script started to change a little bit. I liked what DeFord had written. I didn't want it to change at all. And it began to morph a little bit. And I decided to hang with Ron, and I finally went back to Orion. I said, look, you got till noon tomorrow to tell me what you're going to do. And at noon, they looked at it, and they said, we'll make it. And for $6 million, we made Bull Durham.
And what's that car worth? What's your Mustang? Is that your Shelby?
Yeah.
What's that worth now?
I don't know what it's worth now.
But it's in the garage.
It's in the garage. Yeah. I never let go of it.
Do the boys do?
What's that?
Do the kids get to drive it?
Yeah. It's like a go-kart. So it almost never makes a trip home. It goes out, and then the automobile comes, and then I'm on the side of the road, and people are wanting autographs. It doesn't work for me anymore.
Chris Sims from Pro Football Talk will join us on the show tomorrow. I saw where a rumor about the Seattle Seahawks thinking about trading Russell Wilson a couple of years ago to the Browns in exchange for the number 1 overall pick, where they would have taken, I believe, Baker Mayfield Jr. III. And Chris Sims is the one who said, I heard a rumor. So I want to ask him about rumor and how much fact is attached to this rumor about Seattle wanting to trade Russell Wilson for Baker Mayfield. If I'm Cleveland, I would have loved to have made that move. Because if I had Russell Wilson on the Cleveland Browns, now we are a legitimate Super Bowl contender with that much talent. And Baker Mayfield is still a work in progress here. But if it's true, I have a hard time believing that you would trade Russell Wilson. But if you're saying the only way we can get back to where we were is to have a rookie contract, so now we can go out and we can make that defense the Legion of Boom again. We can fill in some of these other areas here. I understand that philosophy. But, boy, I am trading a Hall of Famer for somebody who I'm not quite sure is going to be a great quarterback, even a very good quarterback. We'll talk to Chris Sims about that coming up on the program tomorrow. All right. I thought that was kind of juicy. Also, as a former quarterback, what it would be like to go to the line of scrimmage as your call echoes through the stadium with no fans. So we'll have Chris Sims on to talk about that. Yeah, Paulie.
Going back to that story, first of all, I don't believe it, but I would like to know if there is any truth to that story about Russell Wilson and the Browns, who initiated the conversation. That's what I want to know. Because I could see the Browns saying, we have the number 1 pick. Can we parlay that into one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league? I can't picture the Seahawks making a phone call saying, you know what?
Unless Seattle says we're going to rebuild, and the Browns weren't ready to win yet, but you're going to bring in Russell Wilson. Now you got to pay him. It feels like this was a negotiating ploy on Seattle's part of this. Remember, there was the rumor that Russ wanted to relocate to New York with his wife, Sierra, so she could be in the entertainment industry or be more involved. And I said, well, so the Giants are going to trade for Russell Wilson? I don't think that's happening. Now, maybe they were thinking about it. It was a rumor, but I never heard any follow-up to any of that. Also, I don't know what you're doing in quarantine, but my wife and I started doing let's have the kids watch a movie that we love, that they haven't seen. Like, we watched Raising Arizona 2 nights ago because some of my kids hadn't seen it. Diner is one that's on the agenda coming up tonight. Either that or broadcast news. So we're sort of going down the list of movies that we think that they would like. And it's interesting to see if they think it's like Raising Arizona. When I went to see that in the theater, and this is the Coen brothers, and you're there watching this movie, and it just starts. There's no credits. There's nothing coming up. And I'm like, it feels like I'm 10 to 12 minutes in, and then all of a sudden the title comes up of Raising Arizona, and then you just hear this. And I went, what just happened here? And my wife and I walked out of that movie, and we went, that's something we hadn't seen before. Coen Brothers was, they have that ability to surprise you. And there's so many. I go back to Blood Simple with the Coen Brothers. That's another. Miller's Crossing. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
The Coen Brothers did Miller's Crossing?
I think they did.
Oh, that's
Miller's
a great
Crossing.
movie.
Yeah. But, Coen Brothers, they never cease to amaze. All right, one movie that you guys would recommend. Now, my kids are 21 through 28. This isn't a movie for your kids. It's for my kids because you guys might have a better idea here. Paulie, I'll start with you.
My kids are 11 and 8, and I really want to show the older ones.
No, this is mine.
Oh, for your kids.
21 through 28. Yeah, I don't care about your kids.
Oh.
It's about my kids.
Well, so they're old enough to watch anything.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've seen True Romance with Christian Slater.
Ooh.
They
haven't seen that.
That's a fantastic movie, especially if you have no concept of it and you put it on cold.
A lot of violence.
A lot of violence,
Yeah.
but good violence.
That's a Tarantino?
I don't know if I think he may have written it. I don't know if he directed it. Or the other way around.
Todd?
Spooks, The Shining, depending on what mood you're in on a given night.
Okay. The Shining?
The Shining, by far to me, the scariest movie
Okay.
ever. But if you want to keep it light, Airplane, I thought was hysterical. I loved that movie.
Okay. I like that one too. Shining's a little heavy. McLovin.
First of all, I just want to say I love the three movies so much. Broadcast News is the best. And Diner. I would add The Graduate to that list for that age group. He's with Dustin Hoffman. I think that really speaks to 20-somethings.
Okay. Seton O'Connor.
You know, a movie I just watched with, I remember as a kid watching and loving, and just this past weekend I watched it with my son, who's 10, was Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which might be the dumbest movie of all time. It is so impossibly stupid. It opens, so he was like, Dad, I can't tell if I love this movie or hate this movie. It's kind of both. But it opens with like 4 minutes of credits. Just as like, that's the opening joke is credits. And he was like, Dad, is this the end or what's happening?
We were thinking of This Is Spinal Tap too as another one.
Oh, yes.
It's a great movie.
Great.
Because Waiting for Guffman and Best in Show, like they loved Best in Show.
Best in Show is so good.
Because of Fred Willard. How much can you bet?
How much? You and I have been saying that line.
No,
for
I know. Even when we'd have guests on, seriously, how much can you bet? Remember we did that with Mark Wahlberg? Came on, he goes, like, seriously, how much can you bet?
I think we asked someone that yesterday. Did we ask Mike Vrabel?
Yeah, seriously, how much can you bench?
How much can you bench?
Matt in Seattle. Hey, Matt, what's on your mind today?
Hey, guys, long-time listener, first-time caller. I want to say, first off, thank you guys for continuing your show. I listen to you guys every morning on my way to work.
Thank you, man.
I just wanted to say, going back to that comment earlier about who you would have bet on to make the Hall of Fame after their first couple of seasons, my main one would have been Tim Lincecum. He started off on fire, and then he just kind of dwindled out. So I thought that would be a cool one to put to you guys.
That's a good suggestion. Thank you, Matt. Does he have 2 Cy Youngs?
Yeah, he had back-to-back Cy Youngs at age 24 and 25, Tim Lincecum, and never was a top 5 Cy Young guy again. We got a few Mark Pryors.
But you also had with Lincecum, the big knock was his windup, because it looked like physically it's impossible to continue to do that. And, I mean, he was a wiry guy, but he had that windup where you wondered, could his body withstand that? Of making 30 starts a year. Adam in Indiana joins us. Adam, what do you have for me today?
Hey, I would try the game with Michael Douglas with the kid.
Okay.
You remember that movie? But no, I appreciate your show and appreciate you not going political on us. But what I was calling in about was Dennis Rodman. To me, has to be top 20. Top 10 in my book almost, but people acted like he couldn't score. But I remember in that last Bulls run, I don't think it was the last year, but it was one of those 3 championships, and it was the game before, and he like missed a free throw or something, and people were talking about he couldn't shoot. And he's like, I could score 25 points a game. And the very next night he come out and almost went for 30. So
yeah, he was a good scorer in junior college. Thanks for the phone call, Adam. You know, he got bored. It almost like he was bored with scoring. He didn't want to. He'd get to the free throw line and he didn't care. His job was getting rebounds. But no, he's not a top 20 player. I mean, he's a unique player, but he's not a top 20 player. When he was with the Pistons, that was when Dennis Rodman was a great player. And that's going to sound strange because, he's out getting 16, 17, 18 rebounds a game. He wasn't great, in my opinion, back then with the Bulls. He was great with the Pistons. He ran all day. He guarded Worthy. He guarded Bird. Whoever you wanted him to guard, he was going to guard. And he was tireless. That was when Rodman was great. 2 hours in the books, 1 more to go. Update the poll results. Fritzy's got his scoreboard challenge as well. We got some burgers on the Traeger today. but you are going to mess with the strategy of a manager. It's one thing to speed up, hey, get into the batter's box, hey, get on the pitcher's mound, like speed that up, or coming back from commercial break. That's one thing. But now you're saying to a manager, if you put somebody in, he's got to be in for 3 batters at least. So you're messing with the strategy, the integrity of the game. Yes,
This rule adjustment reminds me so much of, or sounds so much like something the NFL would do, which is a terrible sign for baseball.
Yeah, reactionary.
And complicated.
Yeah, I agree. Wes in Illinois joins us. Hi, Wes. What do you have for me today?
I want to first say that this is not my idea. I heard this, I believe, with a guest on the Gottlieb show.
Okay.
His suggestion was that a much better way to improve the pace of the game is to get rid of the warm-up pitches.
Yeah.
In no other sport do we let the guys come in and warm up. Football guys don't toss the ball around. A basketball player doesn't shoot a couple free throws. Why do we do that? You've got a bullpen. Get yourself warmed up. If you're not ready to go, that's on you. That's not on the game. Manager's got to tap his shoulder or something as soon as he walks out of the dugout. Now you've got a substitution that's no different than any other sport. There's the pace of the game, and you don't mess with the integrity of the sport.
Yeah, I understand that. We brought that up before, Wes, and thank you for the phone call. I think that you do want to get the pitching mound in the game is different than the pitching mound you'll have in the bullpen. And I think you want to at least give them the opportunity to get their foot and get accustomed to that pitching mound. And that might seem like it's crazy or not a big thing, but it is for a pitcher. When you come in, I would give you 2 pitches. That'd be it. Come in, get ready, get the feel of the pitching mound, and then let's get going. But, hey, you come in and you got to throw 8 pitches, and you come in, you got to throw 8 pitches. Now, so there's places where you can make the flow of the game better. That's really what it comes down to. Make the flow better. Because we're watching NFL games now, there's no flow. And it's a tough watch. The NBA can be a tough watch. If you're watching the Rockets, as I did last night, James Harden's going to the line 24 times. It's tough. You want a flow to the game, and that's what makes it great. I don't care how long it lasts, as long as it feels like it's moving. Instead of, we're going to take a break here. We're going to slow down here. Okay, get out of the batter's box. I think Nomar Garciaparra was one of the main culprits of extending baseball, making it slow down. He got out of the box every single time, and he would adjust both batting gloves. Even if he didn't swing the bat, he'd adjust. I would be, if I'm the umpire, I'd be like, hey, I'm going to put the no into Nomar. No, get back in there. How about non-adjustable batting gloves? How about that? That's my contribution to baseball.
They're just locked into your wrist. You can't move them at all. Even if they get uncomfortable, you're stuck with it.
No. Yes, Todd, do you have a
imagine telling Popovich or Doc Rivers or D'Antoni or someone, he brings somebody in and they have to stay in the game a certain number of minutes before he can bring in another guy for him.
Yeah, you got to leave that guy in for 3 minutes here. Yeah, the fact that the managers didn't know about it, I think they were aware that maybe it was a possibility, but you had Joe Madden and Joe Girardi who didn't know that this rule was put into play. I find that amazing. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Make some assumptions. Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
You know, I love a good list. They have their list of the 74 greatest players in NBA history, this being the 74th year.
The unofficial name of this list was 50 Lakers and 24 other guys.
The undisputed #1 sports talk radio show of all time. Tell me different.
How many people saw Oscar play with the Royals? Isaiah Thomas is one of the top 20 players of all time. Chris Paul is not a better player than Rick Barry. You see, I've seen the guys on the list. All right.
You're going to tell me that Rick Barry had any shot at doing anything with Russell Westbrook? Like, no way.
I was wondering where Zion was on the list.
I apologize for not being chronologically old enough to have seen Rick Barry play. Like, my bad.
You know what? Why don't you be older, Chris?
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave.
I want you to get on my lawn. Get on my lawn.
This is Dan Patrick.
Final hour in this Thursday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. I'm still laughing at your sneaky line you had yesterday, Seton, as I'm running down the list of 74 best players in NBA history, and then you said, where's Zion on the list? And I thought, oh, you were trolling there is what you were doing.
I was trolling.
You were trolling there. Yes, you were. People still talking about that. Talking about that list of 74. Was Kobe not high enough? Was Shaq not high enough? Larry Bird too high on the list? LeBron, should he be number 2 all time? I have no problem with these lists. If you said Kobe is going to be number 2 on the list, okay. Certainly got a great resume. Is it about titles? All right. He's got more titles than LeBron. Like, what does it come down to? And I still don't know what the voting criteria is because it feels like that trump card is titles. And when all else fails, hey, this guy won more titles there. We have favorites, and we have favorites, and it's generational. Like, you can't tell people from the 90s who are a certain age and watch Jordan, they'll never, ever give in and say somebody could possibly be better than Michael Jordan. Just can't. It won't happen. You're going to have people 15 years from now talk about Steph Curry and Steph Curry's greatness. Let's say Steph Curry adds one more title here. He's going to be the greatest shooter of all time. Not the greatest scorer, but the greatest shooter of all time. Does he get into the top 10? If we have this conversation in 10 years from now, who is in the top 10? Is Kevin Durant in the top 10? Is Steph Curry? Is the Greek Freak there? Is Kawhi? Does LeBron go higher? Does he go to number 1? Because nobody else is changing. Everybody else's resume is complete. LeBron is still, piling on the numbers and maybe winning another title or two. Steph Curry is what, 32? 32? He's got, a window here of, let's say, 3 or 4 more peak years. Can you add 1 or 2 titles there? The resurgence of the Golden State Warriors, number 1 overall pick. You got Draymond, Clay, and you got Steph coming back. Could you win another title there? If you win another title, then he's going to be in the top 10. Who comes out of the top 10 is also interesting. Greek Freak's got to win titles. We've had statistical anomalies here. You got to win some titles, and he's got plenty of time to do so. Kawhi Leonard, I think Kawhi would get credit for winning titles, but wouldn't be viewed as one of the greats of all time because of load management. Maybe what happened in San Antonio. Here he is with the Clippers and a chance to win another title or 2, given that roster, and having a Hall of Fame coach there as well. But those were some of the thoughts that I had. Instead of arguing about who should be in the top 10 or where they're ranked in the top 74, it's let's look at that next wave of who's going to be in the top 10 when it's all said and done and who gets moved out of the top 10. Yeah, McLovin.
So is it fair to say, and this is more of a question, that players in 2020 are much better than players in, say, 1975? Because of coaching and fitness and weightlifting, and now everybody learns to shoot through AAU. It's just a totally – so these guys are better now, or am I completely wrong?
I think they're different because they've had – you have somebody to model your game after. everybody is in shape now. Jordan was one of the first to hire a trainer. So this isn't 1975 where guys are hiring trainers. Jordan hired somebody outside of the Chicago Bulls, Tim Grover, to come in and get him in shape. LeBron spends over $1 million a year, reportedly, on training, meals, all those things. Travel. Look at the travel here. You got private jets here. Back in the 70s with the Lake, Will Chamberlain used to fly commercial. 7-2. And you probably weren't going direct. Like, it's just changed so much. And then the athlete who's going to come along 15 years from now, who knows what we allow them to put in their bodies? What are they like when they play the game? What is the game like? Are we raising the hoop at any point? Do we widen the court at any point? Do we do that in football? Do we make it wider because of the athleticism that's going to be in play here? I don't know. But I think that those are distinct possibilities here. I just think that if I'm going to look at who is most likely to drop out of the top 10, is it Larry Bird? Because Shaq and Kobe, they're still in, Kobe will always be with us. Shaq is there every day in commercials. Larry disappeared. You don't see Larry anymore. LeBron and Michael are going to be there. Tim Duncan, if he becomes the next head coach of the Spurs, it's being relevant too. And people saw most of your career here. I don't know who else would fall out of that top 10 because there's at least two going in, I think. Steph Curry's going in. He'll be a top 10 player of all time. Is Kevin Durant going to be a top 10 player of all time? And in 20 years from now, is the Greek Freak in there? Or is there somebody else that comes along? Yeah, McLeod.
Also, back in the day, you didn't have Luka is going to be in the mix and Greek Freak. Is the sport better because it's international too? Or was, there was no Arvydas Sabonis in 70 or 8. I mean, it feels like the game, that has helped the game a lot.
Well, you can credit the Dream Team.
Yes, that's it.
Because
that changed it.
The Dream Team opened everybody's eyes to the globalization of the sport. Somebody was saying, what about Magic Johnson? I said, man, Magic as a 6'9" point guard, it just, you couldn't process that. 6'9" athletic point guard. And that's where you start your nobody could match up with that. Now we tried, like Penny Hardaway, we tried with guys that were a little bit bigger, taller. Magic was 6'8", 6'9", running the point and running the break. He's a top 10 player. But somebody will fall out. Russell stays in because of the 11 titles. Bird might be the guy that falls out. Yeah, Paul.
I don't think Bird falls out because I think he and Magic Johnson are intertwined. They're almost like a package deal.
They should be, but somebody's falling out.
Right.
If Steph Curry puts up a resume that's so good, if he adds 2 more titles, then he's going in. Maybe we should book some guests for 10 years from now about this topic here. Let's get the ESPN voters on here. All right, we'll get some phone calls here. 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. You're starting to hear a little bit more information about baseball, the Baseball Players Association, what the target date is here. There's still a lot to be decided. A lot of grumbling from the players. How much we getting? We also have to factor this in. There are players and families that won't want their husband to come back. They won't want to come back. There's just a lot that has to be factored in here. It's not as simple as turn on the switch and then we all go back and play. There's a lot that has to be processed here. And there are things that we haven't even thought about that they have to think about. But I do think that there are players in basketball and also baseball who are really second-guessing this. And I talked to somebody yesterday. I've mentioned this the first and second hour, and I'll bring it up one more time because it's important to hear. I asked about and this is a source, I said, what would it take for the NFL players to be able to come back, training camp, get ready for games? And I was told right now, our medical staff is estimating 60,000 tests a week for NFL players, personnel. 60,000. They said, and should we be getting these tests instead of somebody who really needs these tests? But those are things that are being discussed right now of trying to come back and play, and can you do it safely? These are all things that are being discussed with teams, leagues, commissioners, medical staffs, and I don't know how far down the road we are. And with Major League Baseball, are you going to have players who want to play? Can they play? Are you going to be self-quarantined in Florida or Arizona? I also asked my source, I said, how do you think the Players Association is, if you took a poll of players, and my source said, I don't know if they have any documentation, but what I've been told is you're going to get a lot of players who don't want to come back to play right now. If you voted now for the NFL, they would not want to come back and play. A majority is what I was told. So once again, things change rapidly, daily, almost hourly here. And my job is just to update you on that, of what we hear. The NBA is quiet right now, and I think that's a good thing. Because I don't want to, remember when we went back and it was going to be May 1st, opening camps, then it was May 8th, and I said I wouldn't be putting those dates out there. And we move right by those. They need to be silent, get a game plan, and then hopefully you're able to start this season. Hopefully. That's everybody's goal. Let me see. A couple of phone calls in here. Jim in Michigan joins us. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Mr. Patrick. Good to talk to you again. Well, I got a movie for you.
Okay.
Called Under the Rainbow. Got Chevy Chase, Carrie Fisher, and 75 midgets.
Okay. I guess this is their over the rainbow, but they're under the rainbow. But thank you, Jim. I'm not a Chevy Chase fan. I know he's had legendary career like Fletch and is brilliant on Saturday Night Live. This goes back to battle lines were drawn, and I was doing a SportsCenter one night, and I remember Carl Ravitch and some of the other SportsCenter anchors, we got into a discussion, who do you like more, Chevy Chase or Bill Murray? And Chevy wasn't at Saturday Night Live for a long time, and then he went into making movies, and I said, it's Bill Murray. And we had this conversation going back and forth. And, I picked the right horse there with Bill Murray. So for some reason, I hold this against Chevy Chase, and I don't know why. I don't know Chevy Chase. I appreciate him. But if you said, hey, who stars in their golf movie?
Caddyshack?
Caddyshack. Bill improvised everything. I mean, it was Chevy's movie, but Bill stole the movie, I think. But I think that they ad-libbed those scenes when Bill was with Chevy. Yeah, Paul.
There's a great old movie called Seems Like Old Times. It's Goldie Hawn, Chevy Chase, and Charles Grodin. It's a bit dated. I don't know if it would play that well these days, but Charles Grodin's fantastic. Goldie Hawn, everyone loves her, and Chevy's great.
Well, just watch Midnight Run with De Niro and Charles Grodin. Charles Grodin's spectacular in that movie. He really is. It's one of the great buddy movies, because De Niro is so serious and Charles Grodin is just, he has such a great way about him. And I don't know, like De Niro, you never thought of him as, I watched Taxi Driver again yesterday afternoon. Whew, man. Can't have that with the kids, Yeah, McLovin.
So you sat home during quarantine and watched Taxi Driver yesterday afternoon. That sounds a lot of fun.
Well, I'll give you an idea of my mental state sometimes. It's like, let me find somebody who is in worse shape than I am. Maybe somebody who's a little more down in the dumps. Let me watch Travis Bickle here. And then I watched the Jake LaMotta Raging Bull.
Wow.
And there's this scene where, and I think Pesci was so great in that movie, and you don't realize how great he is, but his role is, it's quirky, it's smallish compared to how big Jake LaMotta and De Niro is in Raging Bull. But when Pesci is getting punched he's got padding on, and De Niro's punching him as he gets ready to go out for the fight. Pesci was just brilliant. He just really, really, I don't want to say stole it, but he's so good. Yeah, Fritzy.
Have your kids seen Stir Crazy or Goodfellas?
I don't want to. I'm not a Goodfellas fan.
Really?
Nah. I know. I have something about the mob.
Have you seen it all the way through?
Yes. You know what it is? I know how these movies always end. And these are some of my people through my wife's side of the family. She just found out she's an unrecognized citizen of Italy. Because she was inquiring about dual citizenship. I was about Ireland. And then she goes, I should check on Italy. I can't, I'd have a hard time getting in to Italy as a dual citizen. And my wife goes, I'm an unrecognized citizen of Italy. I go, what does that mean? She goes, I have no idea, but I'm closer to be a dual citizen.
Is she thinking about jumping ship?
No, she just, I don't know. I figured one of these days when I up and leave, and then I just, you're going to see me on the French Riviera or Lake Como in Italy. I'll be next to George Clooney.
You're not going to be hosting like a sports radio show on Sky Sports from Lake Como, are you?
No.
The Danettis?
Yeah. Jimmy and the Berzoot. Jimmy and the mozzarella in the morning. Robert in Houston. Hi, Robert. What do you have for me today?
Hey, what's going on, guys? First time, short time. 5'8" and a dad bod, 185.
All right.
So I recommend two movies, just some of my favorites, and just kind of two different ones. The Godfather and The Matrix, kind of unique in their own way. And then a little bit of trivia for that True Romance. It was written by Tarantino, but directed by Tony Scott. And since Tarantino was just coming out, he decided to direct Reservoir Dogs, and he had to give up True Romance.
Oh, good. Well, thank you, Robert. I can't watch Reservoir Dogs when they get into the warehouse.
Man, that's good.
Can't do it. No, can't do it. That comes
Great
on.
movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Can't watch it. They get to that, the tortures. I can't do it. No, can't do it. Steve in South Carolina. Hi, Steve.
ADP. First time, long time, 5'9", 160.
All right.
Couple movies for you. Both of these movies make me laugh every time I watch them, no matter how many times I've seen them. Return of the Pink Panther from the Peter Sellers series.
Yep.
And this one, an under-the-radar movie, Bananas from 1971. Woody Allen. If you've never seen it, the very opening movie is Howard Cosell playing himself, calling an assassination. It's brilliant.
It's like a spoof comedy. It's almost like it feels like a variety show movie. I saw it a long time ago.
And what was the other movie he had? Bananas and...
I missed it.
Yeah, I forget. Godfather? See, I love The Godfather, but I know how it all ends. So it ends in bad ways for people. And I love James Caan, but Sonny if he has correct change, he doesn't die at the toll booth there.
Easy pass.
I know. They didn't have Easy Pass back then. Yeah, McLovin.
I'd love to see you watch all 100 films in the American Film Institute's top 100 and see how many you give a thumbs up to, because you're critical.
Well, but there's reasons why I like or don't like a movie. That doesn't mean they're not great movies.
Like Goodfellas.
I didn't like Goodfellas. I didn't. Like Casino. I watched that the other night. Sharon Stone is great, and Pesci's great. The way De Niro dresses, but it's going to end bad. I have a hard time watching that. Yeah, Fritzy.
Were the kids like American Graffiti or Saturday Night Fever, something like with a 50s kind of genre to it?
Saturday Night Fever, my wife, we had movie night with Saturday Night Fever, and my wife forgot how there's some scenes and language, there's some things that are said in there that we went, well, I don't know. But you're already watching it, and you forget, and then all of a sudden my son, who's my oldest, he goes, forgot that one, huh? And I go, yep, forgot that one. Forgot that scene there. Yeah. All right. More phone calls coming up. Yes, Paul.
Dan, I hate to top you there, but I've got the ultimate movie topper. My dad was once saddled with me on a Saturday rainy afternoon, and my mom said, go take the kid to the movies. And this was a movie theater that had one movie to choose from. You drove the movie that was there. And I was 10 and a half years old. and my dad took me to see Midnight Express.
Ooh.
And
that was a good movie. At 10 and a half.
Yeah, it was traumatic. Turkish prison movies are not for children. I think that's a universal truth. I saw Jaws when I was 6. I wouldn't even take a bath for a month.
Yes,
that's
Tom.
messed up.
Our camp counselors who smoked a lot of pot back when we were like 7, 8 years old, we were supposed to see the Apple Dumpling Gang, which was like a Disney movie. They snuck us into private lessons with Sylvia Crystal, and that kind of shook us up a little bit. They thought it was kind of amusing that they would take 8-year-old kids into that.
That explains an awful lot about you,
does.
Todd. An awful lot about you.
Who knew? 12 years in. Never heard that one before. Never heard about private lessons with you, toddler.
Yeah.
Sylvia Crystal.
Yeah. I think I've heard that 100 times. Maybe.
But the audience, they go in and out. We don't know who's doing it.
You're right.
You guys have heard all the stories.
You're right.
That's true.
20 after the hour. More phone calls coming up here. And did we stay with the poll question, McLovin, all 3 hours?
Yeah, we're on. Do you like fake crowd noise? And it actually started out 55% were okay with it. Now it's close to 60% say no way on the fake crowd noise.
I don't need it. I would be curious if we like no sound, fake sound, to the real sound that you're going to get at the game. And I'm going to guess it'll be awkward, but I do think it'll be different. You'll pay even more attention, I think, to the game because of the sound that'll be there. And we just heard from Nick Nurse, the Toronto Raptors head coach last hour, and he's like, I'd have to really watch my language. And I think a lot of players you would hear everything. And it would be great. If this was back in the 80s when there was true trash talking, God, how good would that be? Or the 90s, Jordan saying something or Bird saying something. Yeah, that'd be great. All right, 22 after the hour. Back after this in the Dan Patrick Show. You check things all the time, your email, Instagram. Todd's checking to see his Zoom feed to see if he's still up and running, and you look like you're doing okay there, Todd.
I think we're all right now.
All right. Discover makes it quick and easy for you to check your credit, and best of all, it's free. Offering FICO credit scores, the score used by 90% of top lenders for free, even if you're not a customer. How great is that? Checking your score doesn't hurt your credit. You can check each month for changes. It's called the Discover Credit Scorecard, free for everyone. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations do apply. We just played some Prince music. Did you ever meet Prince?
I did. I got a chance to meet Prince, and it was an interesting meeting. He was not really a big football guy. I shook his hand and told him I grew up where I actually went to an after-school program at his old high school, played basketball in the same gym he played basketball in, and they would always tell us when we were misbehaving, hey, listen, Prince used to walk these halls. There's greatness in here. And if you guys continue to work hard in the classroom and abide by the rules, I mean, you might be famous one day also. And I told him that story, and he looked at me and he said, cool. And just kept walking. So I was like, okay, that was interesting, you know.
But now you know what it's like if a fan meets you and you know how nervous, or a little kid meets somebody and they're like, hi, Mr. Fitzgerald.
But I was at his house, though. So he would throw these parties at his house out in Paisley Park.
Yeah.
You know, that's his recording studio also. And it would be like at 3:00 in the morning. He wouldn't come out on the stage until 2, perform until 5. And it was like an intimate setting. I thought he would want to talk a little bit. You know, I just came off my 5th Pro Bowl. And I'm thinking I'm like somebody. I'm thinking we're like on level footing now. You know what I'm saying? And he just get out of here, man.
You thought he was going to come out and go, yo, Fitzy, man. Good to see you, man.
I appreciate you coming to the house, man.
Welcome to the crib. Yeah, maybe
I had a purple sweater on and everything. I was festive, you know.
Did you have the like his symbol? Did you have? No, you didn't do the symbol.
No, I didn't go that far. But I had my purple on just to show him. You know, I didn't wear any high heels and no stilettos, anything like that. But I just had my purple on.
Would you trade careers with Prince?
No, I wouldn't. Show business is a tough life. I mean, traveling all around the world, up at all type of hours. It's just.
Yeah, but you're Prince.
Yeah, but then you're Prince though.
Oh, you mean that you can't go out and get a burger and can't go to the mall? And...
No, he's not. If I was going to start off with entertainers, he probably wouldn't be like the first one I would pick.
Who would be? Who would be number one?
I mean, being Justin Timberlake is not bad at all.
That's not bad. It's a good life.
Yeah, I mean, it's good at work and it's great at home. Everything is beautiful.
What do you remember about Bo?
I still talk to Bo. Bo is unbelievable on and off the field. Just a career that was cut short of an injury, but still one of the greatest athletes to ever put on a football uniform and a baseball uniform.
What would the baseball career have been like if you just concentrated on that?
Scary. He hit a ball to me, and I took like 3 steps and dove. And I for sure thought I had him at second. And he was rounding second. And I had to double pump. And I actually threw the ball to the pitcher who was standing on the mound because I was afraid that he was going to try to score.
You think he would have been a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
And he had that arm, too. I mean, he covered so much ground. He was so fast down the first baseline, and being a right-handed batter.
Yeah, I tell everybody he was the biggest guy I've ever seen. The biggest guy over 200 pounds, and the fastest guy I've seen over 200 pounds. And the other one is Dion, under 200 pounds.
Who do you think was faster?
I think whoever got the best jump was going to win.
Paulie just handed me an article from Yahoo. Title is Scottie Pippen is reportedly unhappy about The Last Dance. Let me see if I can grab a quote or two. Last Dance, of course, portrays Pippen as underpaid and frustrated. The episode of the final seconds of a 1994 semifinal game, Phil Jackson picked Tony Kukoc to have the last shot. Pippen apparently was angry. And, he was angry, and he decided he was going to sit out the last second and a half. Kukoc hits the shot, and, that was always what was interesting. There are a couple of things. If that game went into overtime, is Pippen going to play, or is he still going to sit out? And if you see the play before the timeout, before Kukoc hits the shot, Pippen, he was never a great dribbling the ball creator. He didn't create. He was great in transition. It was up to Jordan to create. Scottie was a scorer, not a shooter. And Scottie gets frustrated because Kukoc, he thinks is going to set a pick. He doesn't set the pick. Kukoc backs off and then wants the ball, and then Scottie forces one up at the buzzer, and it doesn't go in. They get the chance, last chance, and this time Kukoc gets the ball, hits the shot over, I think, Anthony Mason, and the Bulls end up winning. Let me see what's in here. And then, of course, Pippen said, if I had a chance to do it over, I probably wouldn't change it. And that's not a good quote there, Scotty. He says that let me see. I wish he didn't give a bleep like me about what people say. Is this the source? No, this is Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman says, I wish Scotty didn't give a bleep like me about what people say. He insists that Pippen's one of the best players of all time, but no one could ever quite see him. He was too quiet. He was always standing next to Michael Jordan. Scotty was underrated and so underpaid. He should be holding his head high up, higher than Michael Jordan in this documentary. I think a lot of people are now realizing what he went through. The kid was a hero in a lot of ways during those great Bulls runs. Okay. Was Scotty underpaid only in relationship to Michael Jordan? What was Scotty's salary, and where did that salary rank in the league? Because I think it might be a little bit higher than people think. I don't have any comments here from Scottie Pippen. It just says he's reportedly unhappy about The Last Dance. Yeah, I don't see anything. Yeah, Paul.
Pippen during the Bulls run his average pay was about $2.6 million a year. He was not in the top. There's a point in his career where he was a first-team All-NBA player, but he wasn't in the top 40 of player salary.
Where was he the last year of the Bulls with that salary?
His last year with the Bulls, he made $2.7 million.
Okay.
And I'll check to see where that ranks in the league.
Okay. Yeah, because I was told that Scotty was getting a pretty good salary commensurate to other players. It was just Michael Jordan was different than everybody else back then. But Scotty is, yeah, I understand, but Scotty doesn't help himself in this documentary. If you had to do it all over again, that's where you say, back then, this is why I acted that way. Of course, I'd never want to quit on my team. You know, when people start calling you Sitting Bull because you sat down in that 94 semifinal game, it's not a good thing to have attached to your resume. And Scotty, I think, has benefited from The Last Dance in this, top 74 players. What is Scotty, 22nd? Is Scottie Pippen the 22nd best player in the NBA? Got all those titles. Yeah, Paul.
Pippen's final year with the Bulls, basically what this documentary is about. He made $2.7 million a year. That was 122. There was 121 players in the NBA making more than him, including players who weren't even starters, including Horace Grant, who was making $14 million a year.
If the owner says to you at the time, don't sign this deal, this is the owner of the Bulls saying to Scotty, this isn't a good contract. Yes, Eden.
I get why Scottie Pippen is upset, though, about it, because some of this is the way the documentary is framing things. Like, did they really have to spend half of an episode on his migraine, too? He had to sit, he sat for the one play, he had a migraine and couldn't play in another game, yet somehow Michael Jordan punches a teammate in the face and it's framed as, that's the moment we all really came together and knew we were winning the championship. I mean, it's kind of garbage.
Well, Scotty should do his own documentary because Michael is doing his own documentary, and then Scotty can tell his story the way he wants to tell his story. I do think that they sort of left Scotty hanging a little bit here. And then when Michael says, hey, I was bothered that he didn't have surgery, Michael has the last word there. Yes,
Michael had the nerve to call Scotty selfish.
I know.
He's making $35 million a year, and Scottie Pippen is like the 123rd highest paid player. And Michael Jordan's like, well, I thought Scotty was selfish in that moment. He should have thought of the team.
There is the great moment where they give you the background of Scottie Pippen, where he's from, relationship with his father's illness, came out of Central Arkansas. They weren't quite sure what they had. And then all of a sudden, they realized what they had, and they had the perfect running mate for Michael Jordan. This doesn't happen for Michael without Scotty. Now, we know that it doesn't happen for Scotty without Michael, but I do think that we sometimes look at that running mate and we don't give them as much credit. But Scotty, with what he did, I thought Scotty was a better defender than Michael. I thought he was just tougher. I mean, he was a longer defender. He picked up Mark Jackson. He changed that series with the Indiana Pacers. His defense on Mark Jackson, he wouldn't let him get into the offense until there was 10 seconds left on the shot clock. But that was Scotty. Scotty wasn't a great shooter, but he could score, transition, defense, rebound. He wasn't afraid, guard anybody. But if you think about it, he gets overshadowed throughout all of this. Steve Kerr hits a big shot. John Paxson hits a big shot. Tony Kukoc hits a big shot. This is about Michael and all the big shots that he hit. The genius of Phil Jackson. Scotty is just sort of, oh, yeah, Scotty sat down. Oh, yeah, Scotty was holding out. Scotty always complained about his contract. Like, is there a moment during The Last Dance where they really are throwing verbal bouquets at Scottie Pippen? Maybe that part of the episode where they talk about drafting him, his family life, what he overcame. Maybe a little bit there. Yeah, Paulie.
Yeah, there's different ways you could look at it. You could make the case that he's an overrated player because he benefits from being with Michael Jordan, all those titles, but then he can come back and saying, Michael Jordan doesn't exist in this current state without me. They don't happen independent from each other. I know I'm not as good as him, but he doesn't have 6 and 0 without me, and that's a fact.
That's true. No, it is. I get it. But I didn't hear any quotes. It just says that, he's reportedly upset about that. And Fritzy called for Pippen. Yeah, McLovin.
Well, Scotty's going to get his revenge when they show that Blazers-Lakers. 2000 Western Conference Finals, fourth quarter. Oh, too soon.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm curious at the documentary because that was really bad, as I recall, for Scotty.
Yes.
Remember the Blazers couldn't score against the Lakers?
I know. Yeah, Fritzy.
My Pippen documentary title. Ready? My Sidekick of the Story.
Now your mic works.
That doesn't do anything for you?
No, it doesn't.
If he did his own documentary? My Sidekick of the Story.
No, I got it. I know.
I thought I'd try it a second time.
No, usually it works.
So it's
Nothing.
like my sidekick of the story. My side of the I get it now.
With kick in parentheses.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Sidekick.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you, Tom.
My sidekick.
Because he's like Robin to Jordan's
No, I
Batman.
got it.
Sidekick.
I got it.
He's a sidekick.
I got it, Todd.
He's not the hero.
See if your feed would go down here on Zoom. That'd be nice.
'Cause he's a
John and
sidekick.
Todd, I got it.
All right.
John in Texas. Hey, John.
Hey, Dan, this is just a little side note here. The soccer movie, Escape to Victory, that's a good movie. But I wanted to talk about Liverpool. We're well on our way to winning our first championship.
No, John, I can't talk Liverpool right now. Thank you, though. You're well on your way. I hope that the Premiership comes back and Liverpool finally wins. We're well on our way. You're in Texas. We're well on our way. And I was a Liverpool guy last week.
Almost 10 days in a row you were a Liverpool
I was.
fan.
I got my hat. I need my kit, Paulie. Got to have my kit.
Working on it.
Kellen in Indiana wants to interrupt
Dan.
and talk Liverpool. Yes, Kellen.
So you're 5'10", boozed up 170 something.
Oh, ready?
Hey, 2 suggestions for the questions you asked today. Dazed and Confused, Matthew McConaughey, great movie.
Okay.
Second thing, Andrew Luck being a Hall of Famer after 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think the jury was probably in on Andrew Luck. We were talking about this. Thank you, Kellen. How many times I watched Doc Gooden, and I was fortunate to be able to cover the Mets back then. And Doc Gooden, after his second year when he went 24-4, and I went, oh my God, this guy is going to the Hall of Fame. We'd heard things about Doc, but it was later on, not then, not after his second year. And then you started to wonder about, he was 20 years of age. And you're in New York, and I would see his dad a lot. But, when Dad's not around and Darryl Strawberry was there, Mets were partiers. Mets were big partiers back then. And, Doc got involved. He's still involved. But, man, after those 2 years, you were like, wow, that guy's going to the Hall of Fame. Brent in Texas joins us. Hey, Brent, what do you have for us?
Hi, Dan. Appreciate you and the Danettes. Say, my suggestion for movie night is The Love Postcard to Chicago, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I was 12 when I saw it in theaters. The classic quote, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and take a look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Yeah, we brought that up, and I think we started to play it for my youngest, and she just didn't like it. She didn't get the genius of Ferris Bueller. So, yeah, we're doing movie night, and, it interrupts my, glass of tequila and my cigar because they won't let me have the cigar while we're watching the damn movie, so I have to watch the movie. And then Raising Arizona, I sat through most of that. Now we're doing Broadcast News and Diner. Those are the movies that are on the on-deck circle. Jeff in St. Louis. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And Paulie, love your shirt. I'm wearing it, and I thank you guys for that shirt. But you got to forget one movie, and it's best, and it's the movie Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. And they're only in 2 scenes together in that. And I want your thoughts about Spud Webb basketball. Is he in the top 74?
No. Thank you, Jeff.
Who else is talking about the movie Heat and Spud Webb today?
No one is. No one is. In the same sentence. Same paragraph there. Spud Webb, no. Nice story. Nice man. I didn't like Heat. Was Val Kilmer in Heat?
Yes. Tom Sizemore, John Voight.
Yeah. I was okay with it. I rule out so many different genres when it comes. There's nothing, no zombies, no vampires, no space age movies, no superheroes. I'm not a lot of fun to watch a movie with because I'm always, and it's hard nowadays because everything has vampires, superheroes. Yeah, Paul.
Heat also has a young Ashley Judd and a young saucy Amy Brenneman. Don't sleep on them. Good movie.
Jim in Montana joins us. Hey, Jim.
Good morning. Say one quick movie.
Okay.
Being There with Peter Sellers.
Yeah.
He plays an idiot named Chauncey Gardner.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I thought he was brilliant in that movie. And thanks for the phone call, Jim. The other movie that was suggested was Return to the Pink Panther, which my kids thought was spectacular. Just because he'd go home and have Kato, and he and Kato would have these knockdown, drag-out fights trying to kill each other. And that scene when he's at the hotel, does your dog bite? And then all of a sudden you're, I thought you said your dog does not bite. That is not my dog. Loved it. Pink Panther, Peter Sellers. Take a break. Oh, it looks like we've got hamburgers coming off the Traeger grill.
It's not Friday.
I know, but I wanted to make sure that the Traeger was ready for Friday. So, when a team has a walkthrough prior to a big game, tomorrow is Meat Friday, and it's like a walkthrough here. This is our Super Bowl here. So, I'm going to have to get up and go all the way to the kitchen to have that burger. We'll take a break. Last call for phone calls after this. How good is Brady as a golfer?
He's actually a really good player. He's less than a 5. Just as competitive as you see on the field.
Does he give you grief? Does he talk trash?
If he's winning, and then when he's not, he's the guy that you see on the sidelines with kind of that look, those eyes, like, and he's. But it's a fun experience. It's just amazing talking to, and just getting to ask for advice from someone because he had so much success early in his career, those first few Super Bowls, and then kind of just. How to manage that, how to keep pushing yourself, how to continue to work hard towards new goals. For him, it's kind of chasing a ghost. And that's just something that's only a few people have really ever tried to do that in sports. And that's, something that a few guys have mastered too, your Tigers and your
But nobody, there's no booklet that says this is how you're supposed to deal with early success.
Right, which is why if you find somebody who's done it the right way, take advantage and see if they're open to offering that kind of advice, and he has been.
When you play with these guys, you play with Jordan?
I have, yeah, I have.
Did Jordan talks trash?
Yeah, he's more, he listens to music and plays fast. He's not as big of a trash talker.
So he's listening
to
music?
I guess he is. Yeah. I mean, he's always got a fun crew, and they're playing music loud. Yeah.
And how did you fare?
I think I 3-putted the last hole, and he had me as his dog. Like I was his partner, and I lost him against whoever we were playing against.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I need I need to be on his team again. I need to get, help him out.
Get his money back?
Yeah, I need to get his money.
All right. I got an order. New partner, Flannery's Meat, delivered right to the man cave. We had the pasta yesterday, the bolognese sauce.
Yeah.
That was made with
And
this.
Flannery Beef has sausages. They got steaks.
Yes.
They got everything.
Yeah, so they sent this, and I said, you know what? That bolognese was pretty good. We should probably see how well they make a hamburger.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just research right here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I've fallen back in love with pickles. Now,
Oh, pickles are great.
I don't know if the other Danettes are watching, but
Good for you, bud. Yeah. You feel better about yourself?
yes.
Hamburgers are good for you.
Wow. Now, 1, 2, 3.
Three each. Yeah, 3 each. I think that's fair. But if you want to go 4 and I'll go 2, I'm fine with that. I got to get my weight down. Gotta get ready for the season, buddy. Oh, that's nuts.
That is a good burger. My thanks once again to Nick Nurse, Toronto Raptors head coach. Got this day in sports history. Man, this is a nice trial run. Meat Thursday for Meat Friday. Just hamburgers. But, man, are they good. They're really good. What's the menu for Meat Friday, Paulie, on the Traeger?
We got a lot of meat tomorrow. I think it's teriyaki chicken tomorrow.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm hearing that and some street corn. Yeah, that burger's really good. It might be the best burger I've had in a long time, McLovin.
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you guys eating on the break.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Any leftovers?
We miss you guys. I feed the guys. I made 6 hamburgers, and I figured Paulie and I could do 3 each, or we could do 1 each, and then I could give it to the guys in the back. I opted for 3 each, and Paulie said, no, we should give it to the guys in the back. So now there's no leftovers. But thanks for asking, McLovin. We miss you guys. Scott in Connecticut is the big winner on Fritzy's scoreboard challenge. 24-7 are the numbers. Before we get to that, let's do this day in sports history to try to ruin Fritzy's scoreboard contest.
1906, Dan, the flagpole at the Chicago White Sox ballpark broke during the pennant raising. It was actually going up, and it collapsed. You thought that'd be the Cubs, but it was the White Sox. 1967, New York Yankees star Mickey Mantle got his 500th career home run. And that's it. That's
Was
a
that
quiet day.
Denny McClain? Did Mickey homer off Denny McClain?
Sure.
For number? You don't know.
Don't know. But you probably know.
Yes, Seton.
Can I guess Todd's scoreboard?
Yeah.
7/24, meaning July 24th, which is not only my birthday, but is also Nick Nurse's birthday. Same month, same day.
Whoa!
Boom.
Yeah.
Same month, same day.
And I feel bad that that's not the answer, but that's fantastic.
I'm going to guess Mickey Mantle is the 7.
The clue is "You're so fine, you're so fine, you blow my mind." Hey, Mickey.
Okay. Ugh. That's bad. And
Jersey number 7.
Okay, and 24?
And the clue for 24 was, "Hey, that's amazing."
No. So Willie Mays, the Amazing Mets.
May 14th, 1972, Willie Mays' first game as a Met. He homers to beat the San Francisco Giants 5-4, jersey number 24, Willie Mays.
Thank you, Todd.
You're welcome.
All right. Eric in Michigan. Hi, Eric. What's on your mind?
Yes, I have 2 movies that you mentioned. Die Hard is a very good action movie, and if you want to go more historical, Schindler's List.
Oh, Schindler's List, a little heavy, but brilliant movie. Thank you. Thank you for the phone call. And Die Hard, yes, one of the great Christmas movies of all time. Yeah, the kids have watched that. Ed in Ohio joins us. Hi, Ed. What do you have for me?
Hey, Dan. Love the show.
Thank you.
62175. I'm going to get you Sucker and American History X for movies.
Very, very different movies there, but thank you, Ed. I'm going to get you Sucker. American History X, that's Ed Norton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
Really?
No.
Oh, I would say that's a good watch, especially the first time you
Yeah.
see it. It's a pretty, I don't know about shocking movie, but an intense movie. Ed Norton, we've had him on the show.
I know. I know. It's not. Once again, it's not anything against the director, producer, the stars of the movie. It's just the kind of movies that I watch. Does somebody get their head bashed on the sidewalk in American X?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think I watched a little bit of that. That was it. I was done. It's like, all right, it's good. Jeff in Detroit joins us. Hi, Jeff. What do you have for me?
What up, though, Dan? You keep this up, man. As soon as these states open back up, y'all going to be wondering where did the curly-haired brother come from on the patio, because I promise you, every time I look up, you cooking something good, man. I be hungry. I'm like, man, here you go cooking again, smoking up the block. Listen, as far as a good movie for you, classic, Cannonball Run. 2 priests in a Ferrari, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis. Shit, it gets no better than that.
Thank
No
you,
better than
Jeff.
that.
Thank you, Jeff. And once this quarantine lifts, Jeff, you're always welcome. We'll save a seat at the table there on a Meat Friday, Traeger Meat Friday at that. Final results of the poll question, McLovin.
I switched it up. Whose career would you want? Scottie Pippen or Steph Curry?
Wait. You
56%.
can't do that with.
I did it. Paulie suggested it. I jumped in. 57% want to be Pippen.
I would rather be Steph Curry than Scottie Pippen. I mean, you got Curry's already ranked ahead of him. He's been an MVP. He's got a couple of titles, and he's the greatest shooter in the history of the game. You know, if he ends up with 3 titles or whatever, he'll be ranked higher than Scottie Pippen on the all-time list. I wish Scottie would have gotten to the NBA Finals. They won 57 games without Michael Jordan. And it was a bad call against the Knicks. They should have gone to the NBA Finals. And I wish Pippen would have been able to do that, because that would have been a incredible feat to do that. Fritzy, what did you learn on today's program?
We are ready to resume the AUAA in any town or city that will have us.
Yes, nobody has asked about us yet. McLovin?
Fritzy has used Mickey Mantle on the scoreboard 46 times during this quarantine.
There has been a lot of Mickey Mantles.
Seat no counter.
You know what? Answering, would you rather get punched in the face or the stomach? Tougher than you thought. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, I'd rather get punched in the stomach. But that's when you have abs, then you can do that. What we learned brought to you by Traeger. Join the Traeger Hood. Wood-fired grills make it easy to create incredible flavor, whether you're barbecuing or baking bread. TraegerGrills.com/DP Show. Talk to you tomorrow.